Bookie Beatdown coming at you. Paul and Cody breaking down UFC Vegas 114 from the Meta Apex in Las Vegas, Nevada. Cody, how are you doing this week?
Well, better this week than I was last week. But of course, like anytime you're coming off a bad card, you get in your own brain, you get in your own head. It's like, which one of these guys is prone to make a mistake? And similar to last week's card, there's just, a lot of untrustworthy fighters, whether you're talking about Oumar Sy, mega prospect, untrustworthy. Ion Cutelaba, the most untrustworthy guy in the game. This Marwan Rahiki. Everybody loves Rahiki. Rahiki almost just got deaded in the contender series twice. Charles Johnson, Bruno Silva, Harry Hardwick, Vitor Petrino, Steve Asplund. Like, there's a lot of room for error, and then that's what gets in your brain. You get thinking about what are the worst case scenarios, and there's a worst case scenario for every fight. But just gotta man up, get a little bit of confidence, and then lock in on the fights that we actually do like. So that's why we're here today, Paul. 14 fights to talk about. Small little cage in the apex, but honestly, this is a violent card. It's a entertaining card. We just got to make sure we got the right winners.
100%. Yeah, I mean, they're not giving money away. We all knew that Charles Oliveira. I mean, I played his sub prop, and we had opportunities to get the Charles Oliveira submission prop. And I
Lots of
knew that there was a
opportunities.
possibility he could hold him down and Max could escape, yada yada yada. He had him in so many spots that it's just like sometimes you just don't really get the bounces. Like if you told me that Charles was gonna have like 5 minutes of back time, I'd be like, great, my submission prop has a really good chance. So I wouldn't be upset with it. But results, process, yada yada yada. Who cares? Get to the picks on UFC Vegas 114. Josh Emmett, Kevin Vallejos in the main event. Vallejos is, I believe, one of the biggest, if not the biggest. He is the biggest favorite on the card. A little bit of action just came in on Emmett, who was as high as plus 475 yesterday. But currently, yeah, minus 550, plus 420. Where are you at with the main event codes?
Yeah, I mean, it feels like Kevin Vallejos is the clear pick here. He's 17 years younger than Josh Emmett, and that kind of is the big difference maker for me. Both guys are known for their striking, and both guys are a little bit lower volume with high power. But Vallejos keeps his hands up. He works behind a jab. He's got a speed advantage. And the problem with Josh Emmett is here's a guy that is just a freak athlete in the sense that he's got a college wrestling background. He's very explosive. He's got killer power. But now at age 41, what does he have left? His wrestling, man, really not that good anymore. Offensively, he hardly shoots in any of his fights. Game plan isn't try to out wrestle his opponents, and especially in a 25-minute fight. I'm not saying he's got cardio issues, but he just knows how to pace himself. Okay, well, what about using that big power? Yes, but he only goes headhunting with it. You're not going to see this guy work the body. You're not going to see this guy put in dividends moves like leg kicks. He mostly just waits on this big overhand right, and then if he hits you, I mean, it's a world of pain, but the only guy he's knocked out in his last 5 opponents, obviously being Bryce Mitchell. That is a fight where he lands 2 strikes through 2 minutes, and one of them happens to be an absolute nuclear bomb that detonates off the chin of Bryce Mitchell and sends him to the shadow realm. Outside of that, it just seems like he's waiting a little bit too much. Look at his fight with Yusuf Zalal. It's only a 90-second fight. He lands 0 strikes. Not that either guy landed any strikes. More importantly, the fight with Lerone Murphy. Now, people are booing Lerone Murphy and saying how boring this fight is, but really, it's just a masterclass game plan of use your jab, use your speed advantage. You hit Emmett twice, and you're out of dodge. He plants his feet to counter, and you see these counters coming. Everybody knows the guy's got big power, so why stand in front of him? Now, Kevin Vallejos is a little less mobile than Lerone Murphy, and he's more than willing to engage, unlike Lerone Murphy. But yeah, he's got a South American chin. We saw his fight with Jean Silva on the Contender Series once upon a time. The kid can clearly take shots, and if you've got 2 guys with big power going punch for punch, you're obviously going to feel better with the guy who's 17 years younger than Josh Emmett. So for most of those reasons, I feel like, again, the speed advantage, using the jab, being able to kind of get out of the way of those big shots. And then if he's able to land on Emmett, potentially do some big damage. Emmett got outstriked by Lerone Murphy, as we mentioned. Back that fight with Ilia Topuria. You can argue that outside of the Bryce Mitchell win, he's never been the same since Topuria put an absolute beating on him. But it's the 152 to 87. Yeah, Rodriguez, 62 to 22. He gets outworked in a lot of his fights, and he bails himself out with the knockout punch. I don't think that he's going to knock out Kevin Vallejos, a guy that has great durability, and therefore, with his biggest win condition likely reduced or taken off the table, Vallejos just outworks him, if not catches him something clean himself, getting the knockout win. So for me, it's Kevin Vallejos. Do I agree with a 5-1 money line? No, because one, this would be the biggest win of Vallejos' career. He's 24 years old. Outside of his win, his last time out, you can say that he's not really fought in any ranked contenders, any former ranked contenders. It's a big step up for him. And so for him to be a 5-1 favorite over a guy, Josh Emmett, that's fought the who's of the division, went the distance with Ilia Topuria, even though he got absolutely slaughtered, went the distance with him, which is something that Max Holloway can't say, and something that Alexander Volkanovski can't say, and something that Charles Oliveira can't say. So I wouldn't say he's all the way washed. It just, to me, I can't quite come to it. And then the second thing is, when you watch back that last fight with Kevin Vallejos versus Giga Chikadze, the first round, he doesn't do much, a little bit concerning, but you have to realize that Giga Chikadze is 6 feet tall. You gotta play that range game. You gotta try to figure out how you're gonna get to the inside and kind of download that information. Whereas Josh Emmett's 5'6", he's going to be standing directly in front of you, and you are going to be able to hit him. So mind your P's and Q's, especially early. But over the course of 25, Vallejos either wins enough points to get the decision, or more than likely just catches him with something at some point, puts him away.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really have anything to add to that. I just can't pull a trigger on. Like, I'm not.
I hear you.
Parlays this week. It's just, I believe in Vallejos. I think he's super, super talented. You know, that fight against John Silva showed that he can hang with the top 5 guys. 5 rounds worries me a little bit, particularly if Emmett's, crazy durability shows up. Maybe, Homer Simpson's a little bit in this spot. If I was forced to make a bet right now, I'd probably take a small shot on Emmett and pray. Do I think Vallejos wins 75% of the time? Yeah, probably. But yeah, I just can't pull the trigger. Show me you can hang over 5 rounds, then I would be more confident to pull the trigger. But like, it's a big number by far his toughest test, a test that I think both of us agree we think he will pass. But it's like when you do your PRP stuff, it's like, well, this is an easy one, right? It's like you just put Vallejos in there, and then you've got the hedge out of a 4-1 on the way out the door for your parlays and stuff. So I just can't make him a pillar of my week. Kevin Vallejos at -550 is just too rich for my blood, but I expect him to come through for all the reasons that you outlined. Better volume. He's a great boxer. I think his chin is going to hold up. He's obviously 17 years younger. You illuminated all the points. It's just price has me going, if I miss a -550 on Vallejos, what's the worst that happens? Right? I don't. Right. It's not gonna, I'm not gonna be like, darn, I missed a -550. It's just like, on to the next. I'm sure there's other spots that we will find. We got Gillian Robertson taking on Amanda Lemos in the co-main event. Gillian, a borderline -200 favorite to come back on Lemos, +170. I mean, it's pretty binary how this fight plays out. Gillian, wrestle heavy approach, pretty good cardio as time has went on. I think that used to be an issue for her. Lemos is a tough out for anybody. The volume's always super, super low. I don't think she has the type of game to really cause problems if she's on her back. Maybe she could land an absolute nuke on the feet. In terms of what they're doing with Gillian down in Florida, I think she's got all the pieces to win this fight. -200. It's less steep than Kevin Vallejos, so we only have to win 2 out of 3 rounds to secure the bag in this one. Gillian Robertson's a pick for me. What about you?
Yeah, so I agree with a lot of the points, and I want to take Gillian Robertson. She's at the Goat Shed. They're on an incredible run right now, both inside the UFC, both outside the UFC. She works one-on-one with Dean Thomas, and how great is Dean Thomas? Whenever they bring him in on the between rounds, he's like, fighter A's got to shift his feet, get out of the way. You can see as he's dropping his shoulder, as he pumps out the jab, what he needs to do. It's like, oh yeah, dude, this is all like really good advice. And whatever he's breaking down, it's like you 100% agree with what he's saying. Then they switch over to Joe Rogan or Michael Bisping or Daniel Cormier, and these idiots are all, he lost 2 points. It's impossible that he wins the fight. They should get steel cups. Why don't they get steel cups? It's like, I think Dean Thomas is one of the most credible guys with an excellent eye that understands exactly what's happening. And with Gillian Robertson, a talent that certainly looked like she was going to be mid-level, what's allowed her to turn the corner is that one-on-one specific game planning. Take the path of least resistance, utilize all your skills that you're seeing. This is a girl that always had a good submission game, but is now mixing in some wrestling, is mixing in some striking, coming off a TKO win in her most latest. Ground and pound, I get it, but someone that again can kind of do a little bit of everything. Back earlier in her career, she would go for submission before position. If she had your neck, she would just dive on it. Yeah, maybe she's a little too high in the back. Yeah, maybe she doesn't get her hooks in, but she sees the neck, she's going to go after it, and that would leave her in a little vulnerable positions. But again, you're just seeing her tighten everything up. What I don't like in this fight, though, Paul, is I really don't think her striking is all that good. So why she's able to have a lot of success lately, she's able to get these fights to the ground. And of course, this is the Apex. It's a smaller cage. She shouldn't have to track Amanda Lemos that far, but Lemos is strong, and her takedown defense really isn't all that bad. You watched that last fight with Amanda Lemos versus Tatiana Suarez. You and I were all over Suarez, and I don't regret it, but Suarez in hindsight,
also can't strike.
Suarez can't strike, but Suarez has got, near Olympic level wrestling per se, certainly a high level girl. And she did rack up almost 10 minutes of control time, but she went 3 of 12 on the takedowns. She largely struggled to get the fight to the ground. And then in the third round, you're seeing Lemos doesn't have bad cardio. Lemos has the heavier hands. So a lot of the time, especially in the Apex, in Las Vegas, and MMA in general, you're looking for damage over positions. The problem with Gillian Robertson is Gillian Robertson isn't the level of wrestler of Tatiana Suarez. And Suarez, yeah, she's got a blown out knee. She's not, all that healthy, but she struggled mightily to get Lemos down. And, we talk about women's MMA all the time and how it's unpredictable and both girls are going to have opportunities. And in Lemos' case, if she can just stuff these takedowns and force the fight upright, Gillian Robertson doesn't have great durability. She doesn't really got great striking. And I wouldn't say she's live or die by her grappling, but all of her fights are her getting the fight to the ground. Marina Rodriguez, take her down, ground and pound. Luana Pinheiro, 5 takedowns. The significant strikes is usually fairly low, but the takedowns allows her to get some ground and pound, get some positions, and win those rounds. Girls like Tabitha Ricci that were able to stuff those takedowns and force it striking were able to beat her. And again, that's years ago. But I feel like Gillian Robertson's a very popular pick this week. Everybody seems to be on her. She's had recent momentum, and she's younger, and it looks like she's putting all the pieces together. But keep in mind, all of these opponents are opponents that she was easily able to take down. Lemos, I'm not 100% sure that's the case. Not like she's got rock solid takedown defense, but she did show a lot against Tatiana Suarez. Her fight with Verna Jandiroba, for the most part, it looked like her grappling was, she ended up getting submitted. It wasn't world class, but she's fought Mackenzie Dern to a win. She's fought Verna Jandiroba, Tatiana Suarez, Zhang Weilei. All of these girls are actually better wrestlers and better grapplers than Gillian Robertson, and she's had mixed results against some of them. So I just don't think it's a clear walk in the park for Gillian Robertson, and I'm super tempted to take a play on Amanda Lemos. Thing is then my brain tells me, why would you put money on Amanda Lemos? Like, honestly, this is a sport where you can pass. You don't have to have action on everything. And considering that this is a card that features, this is the co-main event, dog, right? This card also features Andre Fili, Jose Delgado. It features Vitor, Petrino, Steve Asplund, Charles Johnson, Bruno Silva. Some of the old veterans like Brad Tavares, Eryk Anders, or Chris Curtis versus Orolbai, which is all of those should be the co-main event. This is kind of a middling women's MMA matchup, and so I don't want to get burnt on a 2-1 ticket on Gillian Robertson. Smart move is pass. But yeah, I'm probably just going to not have the cojones to take the dog play and take Robertson. I got other dogs on the card we'll get to, but don't go too heavy on Robertson this weekend, because again, if she doesn't get the takedowns, I think this thing ends up playing out way closer than the line suggests.
Cody, you know me. Were you warning me to get too heavy on a women's?
No, I'm just saying to the general public.
To the general public. Okay, that makes sense. I picked her. Gillian, I'm not going to let Gillian Robertson ruin my life. There's probably some people in the MMA space that would let her ruin their life, though.
She's popular, and she's got this niche crowd that thinks she's a mega babe, or believes she's a mega babe. And so, yeah, no, you do see a lot of these times where it's like one fighter is a favorite of sorts, or, has public support, and then it's easy to write off. We'll talk about Harry Hardwick in a bit. The way Hardwick's last fight in the UFC went, his debut, everybody just assumes this guy's a mega bum. and he is a bum, but not as bad as you think he is, not as bad as you want to believe he is. This is actually a very winnable fight for him. But if you let the narrative be, oh, the guy that couldn't check leg kicks, ha ha ha, the dude that was kicking him is probably the best leg kicker in the division. So we will talk about that one as we get there, Paul. But again, it's what happens coming off a week where we knew last week was a lot of untrustworthy guys for the most part. This week, it's much of the same. So I'm just trying to outline who could potentially blow this thing for me. When you see a guy like Vallejos, yes, everyone believes he's going to win. Maybe it's just a numbers game why you wouldn't want him because he's minus 500. There's other fights that we can largely agree on. This fight wins a lot more than often. You can agree on the price. You can agree on the pick. Women's MMA, Paul, we know that, I guess favorites have had a good year this year, so the CF dot model probably wouldn't be as profitable as it's been in years past, but all the same, I think when you look at the style of both girls, it's easy to say, oh, well, Robertson's been winning, and she likely will get this fight to the ground, and if she gets the fight to the ground, good things will happen. I do agree with that. And what's the worst that can happen? That she doesn't get takedowns?
Or she gets it to the ground, but she doesn't actually maintain position and hold it on the ground. And we're on the feet. On the feet, yeah, we're in trouble.
Yeah, well, they both land less than 3 significant strikes per minute. So they're both low volume. The difference is that Lemos is low volume with legitimate power by divisional standards, whereas Gillian Robertson's getting most of her damage done on the ground. So again, it just comes down to, do you have faith she's going to take her opponent down? And when you look at her record, she's taken down her last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Her last of 10 opponents, Gillian Robertson has completed at least one takedown on her last 10 UFC opponents. That means something. But Michelle Waterson retired right afterwards. Luana Pinheiro, not very good. Marina Rodriguez, nearly 40 years old, not very good. Poliana Viana, god awful. Tabitha Rigi's tiny. And really not known for, she's got great Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, a little bit of
good
judo.
Hips.
Good hips, but she's small and she's not, again, it's just, there's spots here where you can look at and say, all right, well, maybe that's not going to come as easy as you think. And if it doesn't, this fight's going to play out closer to 50-50. So for that reason, I really wouldn't want to have a whole lot of invested there.
Do you want to have a lot invested in Oumar Sy? You can have him for a slightly more inflated price of minus 240. Ion Cutelaba plus 205. Cutelaba coming off of that last fight, where frankly, he should have won against Modestas Bukauskas. That was a pretty horrible scorecard. Guy's been up and down and all around over the course of his career. Used to be a complete gasser. Now it seems like he doesn't come so hot out of the gate anymore, and he conserves himself a little bit more, but he can't keep us, he's not dominating minutes anymore. It's very nip and tuck. Which is gave him kind of a mixed bit of results here. How do you see this one shaking out? Is Oumar Sy just too big, too strong? I know he's like 6'4". He's a very, very big light heavyweight. It's tough to really feel so good about this guy after he kind of laid a dud as a massive favorite against Menefield, but he showed he can fight, at this level of opponent who I would say like fringe top 15 light heavyweight. The division's so bad that I don't even have the rankings in front of me, but Menefield's probably slightly ahead of Cutelaba in terms of overall skill set. I'm tempted to take a dog shot here. Where are you at?
Yeah, tempted as well because I see the exact thing that you're getting at here. Ion Cutelaba does have the style to give this guy tons of problems. He's a former European combat sambo champion. The guy does have decent enough takedown defense, currently sitting on like 75%, and he's a better striker. Now, when he used to be just an absolute Tasmanian devil, he had maybe one and a half rounds of cardio at most, but was capable of heavy damage. Now he's pacing himself out that he can fight 15 minutes, but he's not nearly as big of a threat, as you mentioned. Now, when you look at Oumar Sy's got an 8-inch reach advantage. The problem is we're in the apex, and it's a small cage. And so you pumping out this jab and trying to fight long against a guy that's capable of cutting in, getting inside the pocket, landing a couple bigger shots is all problematic. How do you beat this guy? Take him down, grind on him, which again, being in the apex should help Oumar Sy get to the target. But yeah, he's not really shown any super high credible level in anything. His fight with Dawoon Jung, he gets the takedowns. He racks up some control time, some significant strikes on the ground. The fight with Alonzo Menefield, as you mentioned, he becomes one trick, right? He doesn't have any striking to fall back on. What he can do is try to shoot takedowns. When he doesn't get the takedowns against Menefield, he just gets resulted in wall installing. And he wall installs a whole bunch. He kills off a whole bunch of time off the clock. But if you're not getting the guy down and he's landing even small shots to the side of your head, the judges tend to go with damage. And so that's what, loses in that fight. The rebound against Brenson Ribeiro, guy's obviously not very good. And so, he's able to take him down and eventually catch him, get the knockout win there. But when you talk about levels, now you're taking on a guy in Ion Cutelaba who has nearly 20 fights in the UFC, who's fought in far better guys than Oumar Sy. So this is a step down of sorts comparatively to what he's been fighting, whereas Oumar Sy is taking on probably the toughest guy he's had to fight yet. Is it enough to say, oh, well, he stunk it up against Alonzo Menefield? Is it enough to say that one fight later, this guy's made these massive improvements? Also, when you look back at the Menefield fight, my bad, I got tricked too. He was a minus 715 favorite. Minus 715. And he still finds a way to lose that fight. So I don't think the guy's made a ton of improvements in that short period of time. He's actually 30 years old, so he's not old. He's certainly not some 24-year-old Kevin Vallejos who you expect to get better fight to fight. He's not some young guy that is going to be making improvements. We talked about at length Raul Rosas Jr. Not that he's any good, man, but the kid's 21 years old. So how can you definitively say he's not getting any better? He's going to be making worlds of improvements. I'd like to say he gets more confident. I'd like to say he gets more comfortable. Slowly, he will rack up the experience over time. But at minus 240 right now for a fight against Ion Cutelaba, I don't love. And I agree with Paul's point. I thought Ion Cutelaba beat Modestas Bukauskas. His fight with Ivan Erslan, it's another split, but I thought he clearly won that fight as well. And there's reasons to believe that this guy is a live underdog. So if you can get a decent price tag on him, why not? So am I going to take it? Nah, not the cojones. And I'll tell you why. Because Ion Cutelaba, the last couple of fights against Modestas Bukauskas is just a straight up striker. So it's Ion who shoots 4 takedowns on Modestas. He just doesn't get any of them. Against Ibo Aslam, Ibo really can't do much of anything, but he certainly is not a wrestler or a grappler at all. So he's not shooting any takedowns. Ivan Erslan is not a wrestler or a grappler at all. He did manage to get one. And then Felipe Lins, that's the last time Cutelaba lost. It's like he kind of looked helpless against the getting taken down and controlled. C's not looking to stand with him. He's not looking to do what Modestas did. He's not looking to do what Ibo did. He's looking to get on the hips and take Cutelaba down. And when Cutelaba does get taken down, that's where you're going to start seeing him fatigue. Because it costs a lot of energy to have to explode and get back up, to constantly have to stuff takedowns. If you want to stand in front of him and go punch for punch, he's figured out how to pace himself. If he can get a takedown on you and rack up 2-3 minutes of control time without overexerting himself, he can pace himself. If C gets to the hips right away, it makes this guy work. He's going to fatigue again. So the guy's big. He's a very big man, and it's going to cost a lot of energy for Cutelaba to have to defensively grapple this big man for a prolonged time. C's got better cardio, in my opinion. Bigger guy, small cage. He should be able to get to the target. The 8-inch reach advantage, it doesn't hurt. Maybe we'll keep him at bay. He eventually gets frustrated. He has to step forward. He has to break through to the pocket. That allows you to get to his hips. I don't know. I'm trying to talk myself into it. Don't like the price tag at all. But Cutelaba's another one of these guys that's highly inconsistent. Sometimes he looks okay. Sometimes he looks absolutely dreadful. And it's not enough for me to want to bet him. I get that he's plus money. And a 50-50 guy at plus money, that tells you everything you need to know. Why not take the shot? But I'm not trying to chase blind value. I'm trying to chase the guy I think is better. And C is only 12-1. He's had less than 15 pro fights. He's only had 4 fights in the UFC. I do think he'll get, small incrementally better. Maybe enough to beat Cutelaba come Saturday night. So I'm going to take him, but he's low down the list this week.
Fight ends in split decision, plus 550.
I mean, they should give you better numbers on those split props, but that's a way you can see this thing going.
It's not horrible. I mean, that book does not. They open everything. You're familiar with them. I'm not going to say any names, but they're not very generous on the props front. So as long as that doesn't move, you'll probably, like other places, will probably have like 650, 7-1 on Saturday. 1 out of 5 times does this fight end in split decision? Doesn't seem too outlandish.
Yeah, and Cutelaba's gone to splits in 2 of his last 3 fights, and then
Every one of his
C,
fights
yeah, it's
feels that way.
subjective. If he doesn't finish, it's subjective of is he doing anything,
Is he
or is he just holding on?
Getting enough control time to sway whatever happens on the feet before he gets on top, or the standing cage control? Is he, we're in Vegas. We got Sal Diamato and all of the Muppets, making decisions for our hard-earned dollars. So, not a crazy look there. Something I'm going to make note of and hopefully remember on Saturday. Moving on down, we got Jose Delgado taking on Andre Fili. Delgado minus 350 favorite to come back on Fili plus 285. Your thoughts?
I got Delgado. I got Delgado all day long. We'll talk about what could go wrong, of course, but I think Delgado is primed for a knockout win here. And the guy looks really good. His last fight against Nathaniel Wood, I don't know how he lost that fight, to be honest with you, but it was an absolute scrap. And the kid shows very, he's most comfortable with that first round knockout, right? And you see him on the Contender Series. He beats Hyder Mill in 26 seconds. His debut against Connor Matthews, less than 3 minutes into the first round. Contender Series, he did get to the second, gets the knockout win over Ernie Juarez, but it's like this guy's just absolute dynamite. What we did learn in the Nathaniel Wood fight is if he does not get the first round finish or the early second round finish, he can fight 3 rounds. And that's great to see. He's out of the MMA lab in Arizona, rave about the gym. He's got excellent training partners, and the guy is honestly an offensive dynamo. Fili's getting a little bit older. His win condition here is get the fight to the ground, and I'm sure he's going to try to get the fight to the ground. But those knees up the middle are a giant deterrent for why anybody wants to shoot on him. His ability to step in with strikes, I just feel like at some point he's going to catch Andre Fili. Now, what could possibly go wrong? Well, one, he did miss weight his last time out. So I guess Nathaniel Wood came in at 147, pound over the limit. It was a tough weight cut for him. He is a pretty tall guy. He's getting bigger by the day, getting bigger by the year. How much does the weight cut take out of him? I don't know. But you are going to want to see this guy on the scales to make sure that everything kind of checks out, and hopefully he doesn't miss weight a second time. The other thing is that Nathaniel Wood did take him down twice. Well, that's no big deal. Nathaniel Wood's a good grappler. Okay, fair. Connor Matthews took him down twice. Well, he popped right back up. That's fair. And you and I used to talk about this one all the time. He fought Chris McCott a few years back on the United Fight League 1 show. And Chris McCott wrestled collegiately at Old Dominion, but this kid's got no answer for the wrestling. And so with Fili being a savvy veteran, what Fili's been able to do to remain on the roster and have some success is he's mixing in a lot of the wrestling. His last fight with Christian Rodriguez, a guy that he was supposed to lose to, he's the betting underdog. He takes the 3 takedowns. He grinds this guy out. He slows him down. He ends up getting the split decision out of there. He's taken down Mel Costa. He took down Cup Swanson twice. His last 3 fights, you're seeing him rely on the wrestling a lot more than he has in the past. Now, the guy's been at a Team Alpha Male for a very long time. He's racked up a lot of number of years with some of the best wrestlers in the game, specifically from a style that is heavy on being able to shoot those takedowns. And Fili was kind of different from the regular mold. He's not a collegiate wrestler. He's not short and stocky. He doesn't have some big power overhand right. And yet working with those guys, I think, has rubbed off onto him to a certain extent, mostly being that he can wrestle. And he's starting to pick up that veteran ring IQ that he knows, why would I want to stand with Jose Delgado for a prolonged period of time? I got to bait this guy into a false sense of security, get under, get the takedown. But it's just difficult to do something that you're not familiar with or comfortable with, but you've made an entire career of doing one thing. And now in your later years, you're trying to switch off to a complete secondary skill set, which is his wrestling. I don't know that that's going to be enough to consistently take down Delgado and hold him down. Delgado just needs a little bit of time standing, and then he's going to start flowing his strikes. And once he does, something's going to hit Fili. If it's a dicey first round and Fili does get takedowns, that's okay. Second and third round coming up, Delgado should get to it. The Connor Matthews fight, not good that he got taken down twice, but he popped right back up. His fight with Nathaniel Wood his last time out, it's much of the same. He does get taken down, but it's not like he really accepts those positions. Big for the weight class, training at the MMA lab, who has a bunch of good college wrestlers as well that he's got to work with. Do feel like this kid's making improvements, that the fight like the McCott fight is kind of in the rearview mirror. But what is the path to victory for Andre Fili? A decision, a split decision, using his wrestling to just ground this guy and hope the judges are looking at control time more than damage. In a small little apex, he'll have chances to get on the hips. He'll have chances to get to the single leg. He'll have chances to try to hip ride and get this guy up against the cage. But there's going to be a lot of knees and elbows and straight punches coming right back at him. And not sure that this version of Andre Fili can necessarily take prolonged damage to get the takedown. And so at some point, a knee up the middle, I feel, is going to land. Delgado's going to take this guy out. He's the play for me.
Yeah, I don't have too much. I mean, I'm on the same page with that. Have always been a supporter. We met Andre Fili in Vegas. Cool guy.
Good
As
guy,
cool as
yeah.
you'd expect him to be. Don't really like picking against him. The wrestling path could be there, but I think that's probably something that Delgado's working on a daily basis over in Arizona. And facts be facts is like we're kind of seeing a lot of this is like a lot of the old guard are kind of getting replaced right now, right? Like the old guys, it doesn't happen all the time. Yet you do have your Bobby Greens who come through with a big upset. They're getting disrespected in the market, the older guys for sure. But there is some validity to that because with the old and with the new, this is not an old man's game, and it's not even necessarily a number of age. It's like how many wars have you been in? And Andre Fili's he grew up in the UFC. He's been in this organization for so long that the guy has taken some damage over the years. Chin's holding up pretty well, but we know that those types of things do come to an end. Anyway, we move on down. We got two guys who are relatively new in the UFC. Harry Hardwick and Marwan Rahiki. Rahiki minus 265 favorite to come back on Hardwick plus 225. Hardwick, former Cage Warriors champion. And my struggle with backing him, particularly in 3-round fights, and my concern with him in the UFC is that like his best fights over in Cage Warriors, which we taped a whole bunch of stuff, links in the description if you're interested in regional stuff from the whole gang over on the Bookie Beatdown Discord. But Hardwick's kind of like one of those guys. It's like he processes information. He's a bit of a slow starter. He doesn't get after you super quick. I'm throwing out the Cowboy Fernandez fight. Like, whatever. It is what it is. I faded Rahiki on Contender Series against that Malumba guy who was like 5-1 or something. He
was a big favorite over him. Yeah.
The Malumba guy got a knockdown. It was super, super violent. Like I walked away with a losing ticket, but I didn't feel bad about taking that shot whatsoever. I think Hardwick had a really, really tough first matchup. This kid has a lot of explosion, excitement. The cardio held up, and that's the reason why he got the finish in round 2 of Malumba after going through an absolute war. But I don't know. Hardwick's like, 30 years old? He's been in there with a lot of guys. At plus 225, it feels like I plug my nose and take that, that one of the guys who was like a standout guy on the British regional scene just has a few too many tricks, has seen too many looks, and at least makes this fight close against the young, unproven prospect. Hardwick, dog or pass? Your thoughts?
Yeah, same thing. At some point, you got to actually bite down on some of these plus money guys instead of just saying, "Oh, I don't really got the grit to go get." I get it. Sometimes you got to kind of plant your flag. And Harry Hardwick, listen, is it going to be a tough fight? Sure. Is he going to have to pull a little bit of magic out of his hat? Sure. But the guy's name's Houdini, so expect a little magic to happen here, Paul. He's just people don't like him from that based on that last fight with Cowboy Fernandez. But if you're a regular listener of the show, all I do is praise Cowboy Fernandez. His leg kicks are unbelievable. We've been cashing on this guy quite a bit. We cashed against on his fight with Ion Cutelaba, and it was the same thing. He just blew Cutelab's legs apart. So him versus a short known as Harry Hardwick at the time was a tailor-made fight for him to go out there and style on him, and he did. People will remember his Hardwick falling over. People will remember Hardwick not checking the kicks. But what people don't really seem to give him credit for is the guy showed a whole bunch of heart. His leg is done. It's done. And yet he keeps dragging his ass off the mat and trying to stumble forward. They could have waved that thing off a number of times, and eventually they ended up waving it off because he couldn't really get off the canvas anymore. But he attempted to get up, and every time he got up, he would immediately try to come forward. Now, it was a losing fight right from the get-go, but he did show that he has some heart. He is 7 years older than freaky Rahiki, but in the good way, right? Like Paul said, he's 31 years old, I believe, former Cage Warriors champion. He's got twice the amount of pro experience. He's fought in the better level of competition for the most part. And yeah, even though he's a bit of a slow starter, he does have that ability to just kind of keep himself in this fight, come forward, make things happen. He's got decent technical boxing. He's got a superior ground game than Rahiki. And at plus 225 as a betting underdog, he's going to have opportunities to either catch Rahiki, send him to the ground, jump on a submission of sorts, or maybe just try to, take advantage of some of that vulnerabilities that Rahiki has in the defensive striking. Rahiki is absolutely an offensive dynamo. This guy can strike. He's long, he's got a ton of power, but not all striking is created equally. There's certain guys where you'll say, oh, this guy's a good striker because he's knocked out 10 of his last 12 opponents, but the guy has no defensive abilities. He's a good offensive striker. Well, that's Rahiki. Rahiki walks in to a lot of shots. Now, of course, the obvious example is that last fight with Malumba on the Contender Series. But you watch a lot of his regional fights, it's the same thing. He gets hit a lot. He gets stung a lot. Now, people say, oh, well, he's got such a good chin. Look at the Malumba fight. He's out, and he's 23 years old. So when you're young, you're fresh, and maybe you can take some of those shots. But the fact that he's getting stung this bad is not a good sign. And it wasn't like Malumba was some top prospect. He had basically crushed his way to the Contender Series and was a 3-1 betting underdog. And yet 2 knockdowns over Rahiki, this close to taking him out. I had Rahiki that night. I was pumped up, but it was one of those things where it's like, you're not looking at, oh, well, look at the heart on this guy. He gets stung multiple times. He gets back up. He wins the fight. That's cool. And you're going to give him credit for that. No doubt about it. But really, the bigger concern is that anybody that sits down on his punches may be able to clip him because he does not move his head. He comes forward on straight lines, and he's just trying to batter you before you have a chance to batter him. As far as his ground game goes, I think Hardwick most definitely has an advantage over him. As far as his ability to stuff takedowns, he's a Moroccan kickboxer training out of Australia, right? If this fight hits the ground, he's going to have a lot of problems. I also feel like he doesn't have cardio issues, but he could maybe be susceptible to gas in a high-paced fight where he's not necessarily having his own way. Now Malumba, he got hurt. He overcome adversity. His cardio looked spectacular. But this is a fight where you're allowing him to strike. If you take him down, you're able to neutralize him. You're able to try to suffocate him a little bit, slow him down. Who knows? Maybe Hardwick could find a secondary path of victory there as well. I will give him one thing. He's got to win over Gabriel Schlupp, who... he's got to win over John Silva. So it's not like he's not beating anybody on the regional scene. It's that a lot of these guys couldn't take the offense coming back at him. Whereas Harry Hardwick, yeah, he just got decimated by leg kicks, but he showed a lot of heart in that fight. And outside of that, he had never been finished. Oh, sorry. Blaine O'Driscoll 8 years ago caught him in a rear naked choke, but he had never been cleanly knocked out. He still hasn't been cleanly knocked out. He got TKO due to leg kicks. I just feel like they're giving you a big number. Javier Garcia, Kawani Lopez, Orlando Wilson, Prince. None of these guys are great, but he's shown enough technical boxing in those fights that I think he may be able to touch Rahiki up on the feet a little bit, but more so work to the takedown. Get this guy down. Once you get him down, that's where the easiest path will be with the grappling. So, yeah, Hardwick as an underdog. You got to have some underdogs on this card. I get it. Rahiki, total action-packed. Everybody likes this guy. He's a very popular play this week. He's going to walk right through this bum. I think it's going to be a lot more difficult than people are anticipating. And I don't want to be the one getting burned on a freaky Rahiki bet. So, yeah, give me Hardwick.
Moving on down, we got sloppy low-level heavyweights. We got Vitor Petrino taking on Steven Asplund. Petrino minus 260 favorite to come back on Asplund, plus 220. Asplund, kind of becoming a little bit of a fan favorite because he used to be like super, super heavy. I don't know why that's not loading up right now. But the problem with him that I saw, taping some LFA fights and cards. I don't know why this isn't loading up. A little bit distracting there, but the problem with him is like in the fight against like Raiden Kovacs, the guy's takedown defense looks really, really bad. I'm sure it's improving and he's making moves. I don't love Vitor Petrino. I didn't really necessarily love his move up to this division, but it's like we know what he's gonna go out there and try to do. His grappling is super, super solid, and he's built like a tank, even though he was a former 205er. He's filling out to heavyweight quite well. He's definitely, If you look at the two of these guys, one guy looks good getting off the bus, the other guy not so much.
Yeah.
Sharaf, kind of a layup fight in the heavyweight division, let's face it. And Asplund goes kind of blood and guts with everybody that he fights. Garacio, he knocked him out before the fight even started, and then Garacio went and lost to Larry the Cable Guy over on the regional scene. So that's kind of proved to me that like Garacio was a absolute flash in the pan.
So bad.
He beat Bailey Schoenfelder, and then
also so bad.
That's what popped the guy up, and then like that's how crazy heavyweight can be, because the guy's super undersized, and yeah, it's just looked awful ever since that Schoenfelder win. But yeah, these fights with Kovacs, even Hammer Morton, fights that he ended up winning, but it's like go watch the early parts of those fights. Takedown defense is a problem for this guy. And now he's taking on somebody with the most skills on the mat rather than Kovacs, who is like, we're talking pretty low-level heavyweight wrestling here. Morton, I'm sure he has like maybe a collegiate type of background or something like that, but I think his takedown defense is there to get exploited, and I expect Petrino, as long as he doesn't get his head knocked off in the first few exchanges, Petrino should have no trouble getting this fight to the mat. Your thoughts?
Yeah, it's an auto fade on Vitor Petrino. Not my kind of guy. And I understand what you're saying. If you were in a bar and you saw these two guys getting ready to go in the parking lot to settle a dispute, it's like, oh my God, Vitor Petrino with his shirt off. Like, you could grade cheese off this guy's abs. He's jacked. And then his opponent, Steve Asplund, also looks like a brick of cheese, only it looks like a brick of cheese melting in the microwave. So no doubt about it. One guy looks real big and saucy, and the other guy not so much. But this is fighting. That stuff doesn't matter. The difference here is Vitor Petrino is likely juiced up. There's been reports this week that he has a broken hand, or at least has had a broken hand very recently. He's an absolute gas bag. Guy has no cardio. Guy is very low with his output on his punches. Nobody thought he'd move up to heavyweight and have any degree of success. But heavyweight is such a bad division that you can, in fact, do exactly that. Tai Tuivasa is on a 6-fight losing streak, and he is officially the number 15th ranked guy in the division on a 6-fight losing streak. These guys are both unranked. It's a bad division, I would say. So Vitor jumping up and beating Austin Lane, who's since been cut, and Thomas Pedersen, who has a losing record within the organization. I mean, it does show that he can beat heavyweights, but what's the guy's... what's his potential? What's his ceiling at this division? I'm not 100% sure. You look at some of these other fights, he looked okay against Dustin Jacoby the first couple rounds. There's an argument he's up 2-0 although I personally felt it was closer to 1-1. And then in the third round, he gasses out, he gets knocked out. Is that this drastic cut? Is the guy just having these bad weight cuts? His fight with Anthony Smith, he's a colossal favorite over Anthony Smith. He shoots a takedown right into a guillotine choke. Was it a quit job? I don't know. His fight with Tyson Pedro, 3 takedowns, 15 minutes, mostly of which is control time. He got outstruck 30-27 against a light heavyweight Tyson Pedro, who is also since retired and been cut from the UFC. None of his wins are really all that good. Some of his losses are mad suspect. I just never been high on the guy. What's he good at? Well, he's got some big power because I don't want to say the guy's on steroids. It's like not my place to say, but yeah, no, he's got some big power, whether it's real power or artificial power that's being shot into his veins. I don't know. But yeah, no, the guy can crack. It's that he's not really throwing a ton of punches. Even on the ground, it's not like he gets you to the ground and he ground and pounds you or grabs a quick submission. Watch that fight versus Austin Lane. He immediately gets a takedown right into full mount. He spends 3.5 minutes full mount on almost 4 minutes in full mount without doing anything. And then with a few seconds left in the round or 45 seconds left in the round, Austin Lane realizes I got to do something, tries to just get up by giving up his back, and Vitor grabs the choke. But he's looking to control the clock. He's looking to win minutes. Now, this Thomas Pedersen fight. Thomas Pedersen was a junior college national champion. Junior college, I get it, but still, the guy can wrestle. So Vitor's wrestling was kind of moot in that fight. Not that he was really attempting to get it to the ground all that much, and he did manage to get 1 takedown, which is somewhat impressive. But overall, 1 for 6 on takedowns, okay? The first round, he gets a knockdown. He outstrikes Pedersen 13-1 in the significant strikes. But in the total strikes, he got outstruck 22-15 in the totals. The second round, Peterson outstruck him again in the total 17-14. Significant strikes was 14-13 in favor of Vitor, but the second round is very close. There's an argument that Peterson won the second round, and then the third round starts. Peterson's like, I got to get on this guy. He's gassed. I'm gassed. He's gassed. I need to get on him. And he walks right into the second knockdown of the fight, which ends up being the knockout, which puts him away. I don't think Vitor Petrino looked good in that fight at all, but Peterson is completely spent as well. Peterson stuffed most of the takedowns. Peterson's outlanding him. The totals for the entire fight, Peterson outstruck him 41-33 in the totals. And so again, when you're looking at who's doing the short little shots, who's doing a little bit more, who has the higher volume, who's actually trying to win the majority of the fight instead of the one moment, feels like Vitor just falls behind the wheel a little bit. He's behind the count. And Steve Asplund, it's like the guy is 6'5". He has a 78-inch reach. There's only 1-inch reach advantage, 3-inch height advantage. It's the small little apex ring. I get it. But all the same, the dude throws a lot of strikes. His fight with Sean Sharaf, his last time out, he landed 170 significant strikes. They weren't even through 2 rounds. They're just over the 1.5 mark of the fight, and he had landed 170 already. So is Sean Sharaf good? No. Is Sean Sharaf half as good as Vitor Petrino? No. But the same being said is that I think we have a cardio advantage. I think we have a striking advantage. Other than that one big shot that could land from Vitor, make him work. And all of a sudden, this guy tires. Once he tires, maybe the power will diminish a little bit. Didn't against Pedersen, I get that. But the point remains the same. It's like you just got to make this guy work. If he wants to take you down, make him work for it. If he does take you down, try to scramble and get back up, but constantly make him work. You are a natural heavyweight. He is not. The longer this thing goes, Vitor is going to start to tire. Once he starts to tire, he's going to be standing there, complacent, flat-footed, with his hands low, and he's going to get hit with something. Now, to the point of Steve Asplund's bad grappling, well, I will admit. Like you said, the Raiden Kovacs fight, he got taken down. He popped right back up. The Denzel Freeman fight, he got taken down, and then he gets rear naked choked. Denzel Freeman was a former national team member for Team USA in Greco-Roman wrestling. Like, in what world is Denzel Freeman not a good wrestler? In MMA stats? No. Yeah, he's not great. When he's facing maybe fellow wrestlers, guys like you saw him against Hogan. It's like, Hogan's a 2-time D1 All-American. So that guy can wrestle. Freeman looks bad. The perception in people's mind is, who's Denzel Freeman? Oh, that guy sucks. And now I see this guy lost to a guy that sucks. So this guy must suck. And believe me, I'm not trying to shit on anybody at home. If you're watching this show, I'm not taking a shot. I'm not saying this is your opinion. I'm saying if you go on the internet, if you go and check out public opinions, that's the most of it. You see it all the time when the guy clearly hasn't watched any fights. They say, well, this guy sucks and he lost to this guy that sucks, so he's going to lose this fight. Well, fair. That's the way you want to look at it. That's fair. But I know that Steve Asplund lost that fight. He's 25 years old. Since then, he's racked up 3 more fights. He's had more training. He's 27. He's a baby by heavyweight standards, but he's continuously going to get better. He's a bigger guy. He's got the better striking. He's got the better volume. He's got to figure out a way to keep this fight standing or prolong it. If you get taken down, not the end of the world. Stay defensively sound. Get him to the second round. Get him to the third round. And eventually have Vitor tire up. Also, the broken hand narrative. Okay, Vitor has a broken hand. Is he going to sit down and cock this shot back? What if he breaks it again? Is he going to stop throwing punches? Is he going to sit there and look timid because he's hurting? I don't know. But it's not the kind of spot that I would want to bet Vitor Petrino as the favorite. So for me, it's a dog or pass here. I got Asplund.
Charles Johnson takes on Bruno Silva. Charles Johnson a -189 favorite to come back on Bruno Silva +164. Who you got?
Yeah, so you can talk me out of this one. I feel like Bruno, if you're just looking at value side and a guy who's plus money who has a chance of coming through, Bruno Silva could be primed to pull off an upset here for sure. The thing with Charles Johnson is it's easy to rate him by his big wins. Okay, the guy's got killer wins. Where he struggles against mid-level veterans. So a win over Lonier Kavanaugh is dope, but Lonier Kavanaugh is really young and he's inexperienced and he's a prospect. Johnson takes advantage. His win over Sumaderji, his win over Josh Van. These guys are all young fighters developing on their way up, and he's able to beat them. Whenever he fights a veteran, he does not have nearly as much success. Now, what's been his biggest problem throughout the majority of his career? His takedown defense. He struggles against guys that are willing to take him down, especially if you're willing to chain wrestle him, take him down repeatedly. His get-up game isn't bad, but in these close rounds, if you mix in the takedown, generally he's on the other side of it. When you look at Bruno Silva is largely able to wrestle. He's coming off a win over Hung Sung Park his last time out where he scored 5. But more impressively is you watch back this fight with Tagir Ulanbekov, where he took down Ulanbekov 4 times, got taken down 5 times, scrambled every time. He's a BJJ black belt, spent a lot of time over in Arizona. He's worked out with guys like the Patricio brothers and Henry Cejudo. In fact, he was one of Henry Cejudo's main training partners for a number of years. The guy can most definitely wrestle. And then low key, he's got 5 wins in the UFC. He's knocked down all 5 of those guys. 2 of them are submissions because he knocked the guy down and then choked him out. So he's got more than enough power. He's got good grappling. He's got okay takedowns, and he fights like a savvy veteran. This is a 125-pound fight, so expect lots of scrambles. He's a little bit older, but so is Charles Johnson. And whereas Charles Johnson's got cast iron chin, but wonky takedown defense, Charles Johnson's coming off the first knockout loss of his career. He had never been finished before. And now he just got knocked down in the first round by Alex Perez. And that was 5 weeks ago. So you've got an older Charles Johnson who maybe is not as durable as he used to be and does struggle against takedowns, coming in on short notice, at flyweight, and everyone says, well, dude, he beat Josh Van and he beat Lonier Kavanaugh. Yes, he beat prospects. He's a very good prospect killer. His losses, on the other hand, Tamerlov beat him last time out against Alex Perez, obviously, Cody Durden, Ode Osborne. This is going to be a 50-50 fight. It's a flyweight fight, so most of them are, but Bruno's got multiple paths. He could maybe catch Charles Johnson and knock him out. He could maybe take Charles Johnson down and out-grapple him. He could maybe just keep this fight close, and if he can keep it close, I mean, at the plus money that he is, you know, he'd be worth a shot, I believe. Johnson, meanwhile, it's like, yeah, he looked really good against Lonier Kavanaugh in the second round. The first round, Kavanaugh damn near 10-8s him. But then the young prospect with the bright lights, he starts to tire out. And Josh Van, you know, he catches him. I couldn't say he's tiring out, but you get him to the third round. Sumadirji, he mixed in his own takedowns against Sumadirji. I'm just saying, Bruno's got a very well-rounded game. He often does get overlooked. He's got good cardio. He's able to fight the full 15 minutes. His losses are Josh Van and Manel Kopp. Well, those guys are very fast and dynamic and able to beat him to the punch. Is not saying that Charles Johnson isn't fast and isn't dynamic, but coming off the loss to Perez, is he going to want to stand in the pocket and bang? And is Bruno just going to stand with them exclusively the entire time, or is Bruno not going to try to mix in some takedowns? If Bruno can keep it relatively close and competitive standing and secure a takedown, especially in the latter bits of these rounds, then I think he could persuade the judges. It's flyweight, Paul. It's closer to 50-50. I feel like Bruno's most definitely a live underdog, but of course, we all know how good Charles Johnson is capable of being when he's on his game, but I hate to compare him to Ion Cutelaba. He's not always on his game. Sometimes he's not looking good at all. Sometimes he looks like a world beater. He's more of a 50-50 guy. Ion Cutelaba is plus money, so you can bet a 50-50 guy at plus money. As a minus 185 favorite, I really don't want a whole lot of exposure on Charles Johnson because the potential to shit in the apple pie is certainly there. So I'm not discrediting him. I like this guy, but I also really like Bruno, as you could probably tell. I've backed this guy in the past. He's a dog on a bone. He'll fight for everything he's got. And against younger, faster guys, he struggles a little bit. Johnson's not really no spring chicken himself. 5 weeks removed from a knockout loss makes it interesting.
Yeah, they're basically the same age. Johnson's a year younger. Johnson's longer, of course.
He's the apex, baby.
Pretty much longer than everybody inside the octagon at 125 pounds. He's a very, very big flyweight. But yeah, I mean, 5-4 in takedowns against Tagir Ulanbekov as a massive underdog, a fight that he ended up losing. I pretty much bet Bruno Silva every single fight. I don't see any reason to stop now. He's always a big underdog. He's always underrated, and he's a dog on the bone. He's a guy that you don't mind backing. I wouldn't complain if like we get to weigh-ins and people see stare downs and Charles Johnson, you know, maybe gets a little bit steamier so I can get an even better price on Bruno, but plus 164. I don't see why not. The big question is whose family member is compromised by a gang, Cody?
Yeah, that is actually the $1 million question.
We'll find out which number absolutely steams to bits on Saturday. It's funny how that one just kind of got swept under the rug. Drew Dober wasn't even approached about anything weird going on there. Something strange.
Yeah, well, no, dude, I'll tell you
100%.
When you watch Isaac Delgarian, especially when you rewatch,
he went out the hard way. If Michael Johnson, if he threw it, he went out the hard way. He took it like a man.
He got KO'd, violently KO'd, which is never how you throw a fight, because a KO, any KO,
but
in theory could kill you.
But the round 2 prop,
your brain could swell.
Allegedly, the round UFC, he was supposed to go down in round 2, according to the internet. Is that like there was somebody who wrote out like 5 hours in advance?
I know, I did see that.
That I forget the name of the account, but that he was going to get knocked out in the second round. He got knocked out in the second round after winning round 1 and being very competitive on the feet against Drew Dober in round 1. I'm not saying it is rigged. I have no proof to say it is, but if he did, he went out the hard way. And you know what? You don't get in trouble by going out the hard way. You get in trouble for being a little B, and going out the Bulgarian way, which is the soft way. I don't want to get knocked out. I don't want to have, a black eye, anything like that. Bulgarian took the soft way out, and that's why he got busted. If you're ever going to throw a fight, I would say just let your opponent, if they got some power, just crack you as hard as humanly possible at some point. And people would be like, well, he got stiffed. He got knocked out. Pretty hard to prove that it was compromised in any sort of way outside of line movement.
Well, more so than that. More so than he got knocked out so bad. Why would you do that to yourself? Maybe there's an explanation there. More so than that is that the first round, he was trying to knock out Drew Dober, and he almost did. He landed a left hand that was like, oh, man. Drew Dober kind of stiffed up a little bit and then went back with it. Could you imagine being Michael Johnson's alleged nephew with the gangster disciples over in Missouri being like, oh, no, Uncle Mike. No, Uncle Mike, what are you doing? Stop hitting Drew Dober. You need to throw this fight. But Johnson attempted to win this fight to the best of his abilities. The commentators were raving about how his hand speed's still there. He was landing. But Dober, he got a hell of a chin on him. I know he's been knocked out, but, one of those is actually a cut stoppage knockout. And it's MMA. Anything can happen, but Drew Dober historically has had a great chin. He's able to take those shots. So who's going to throw the fight on this card? I don't know, but we'll talk about this next one here. Eryk Anders is announcing his retirement, Paul. So what better way to cash in a ticket with the gangster disciples in Missouri than to maybe take a dive in your retirement?
I don't know. Brad Tavares should have announced his retirement like a couple years ago, man. That Burchak loss, I just don't know if I can pull the trigger on this guy anymore, man. I just don't think I can do it.
Take either one of them?
Taking the Burchak, like getting knocked out by Burchak was just like, they're trying to hand you a bone here. Jared Mearshart, slow, plodding, doesn't do much on the feet whatsoever, doesn't have great wrestling. Like, that was a cupcake matchup. It was way too competitive against like the corpse of Chris Weidman, who, by the way, I like he's been doing pretty well on the broadcast whenever they give him the opportunities on the weigh-in show and stuff. I like what Chris is adding to the show these days.
He's still my boy.
He's still my boy. But I don't know, man. I think Tavares, even if he hasn't announced his retirement, is he is 100% getting it. I don't know what to do with this fight, Cody, but it sounds like you have a hot take.
No, I don't. Unless I knew
Eryk Anders, lock of the week.
Yeah, if one of their nephews was kidnapped and I had that information privy to me, then yes, I would have a
fair
hot take. Well, yeah, you can't trust either guy. Like Brad Tavares, he was always a point-based sparring guy, and that's it. He's not like he's got an advanced wrestling game. His takedown defense really not that bad, but he mostly just goes not even tit for tat. He can spar with you, not a whole lot of power, go through the motions, drop decisions. Him at his best, he went 15 minutes with Dricus du Plessis. Him at his best, he went 25 minutes with Israel Adesanya. He went, he's fought in multiple former champions. He went the distance with Yoel Romero. He's fought in Robert Whittaker, albeit he did not go the distance on that one. He's fought in all the best guys within the division, and he's just your sound divisional gatekeeper. If you lose to Brad Tavares, you ain't going to probably make it long-term in this sport at the highest level. if you beat Brad Tavares, it's a good little credible win for you on your road to bigger and better things. All these former champions had defeated Brad and then gone on to championship status. He was just a stepping stone along the way. But to your point, yes, Edmund Shabazian boots him lopside the head, knocks him out. All of a sudden, Bruno Silva, guy that has severe depression and is, you can't even call him a 50-50 guy. He's a 10-90 guy. But that 10, he landed on Brad and put him out. The Gregor Rodriguez, not going to fault him for that one, but knocked out. And then his last time out against Robert Berjek. Yeah, not a great look. Not a great look, not just because he had gotten knocked out. Berjek actually is a vaunted power puncher when you look at his regional show success. It's more so that he wasn't letting his hands go. He was trying to offensively wrestle. He was trying to slow this thing down. His cardio didn't look as good as it used to. His ability to take a punch obviously is starting to get diminished. He's never been a big power puncher himself, but he used to at least throw up a decent amount of volume, and that started to wane. One's got to wonder, how much does Brad really still want it? He's been fighting in the UFC for almost 2 decades at this point. He's had a lot of fights, trains in Las Vegas full time. You know, the wear and tear, the motivation, maybe it's just not there anymore. And all of that's fair. The thing with Eryk Anders is I can't say that he's any better than Brad Tavares really anywhere. His wrestling's not good. In fact, he's mostly just a wall install guy. Against Brad Tavares, Brad's takedown defense is okay. It's certainly good enough, I think, to stuff Anders' takedowns, but Anders may be able to just control him up against the cage. Brad doesn't have a whole lot of urgency to separate, to dig an underhook, to get off. He'll mostly just kind of accept it and sit there for a little bit. So if Anders wants to play that mash him into the cage type game plan, he may have some success. The judges, again, are going to be looking for damage, and I think that that's where Anders will start to fall off a bit. Although Eryk Anders is capable of knocking a guy out, as we saw in the Chris Weidman fight, he's also capable of not doing anything, as you saw in the fight right prior to that versus Jamie Pickett. But this is the narrative here that we got for him. We talked about this on his last fight, but against Marc-Andre Barrio, he got knocked down. His very next fight against Jamie Pickett, he got knocked down. His very next fight against Chris Weidman, he got knocked down in the first round. He looked like crap. And then in that last fight, we bet Christian Leroy Duncan specifically to win by knockout, because you can see the accumulation here from Anders. Anders has had durability in the past. This guy fought Thiago Santos one time. They threw the towel in after the 3rd round of a 5-rounder, but he didn't get knocked out. His coaches just had mercy on him. At his best, this guy could take a hell of a punch. Former national champion in football for the University of Alabama. That was the university, yeah, University of Alabama. Is that how you pronounce it? Mm-hmm. The guy's no doubt a good athlete. The guy's obviously a big, strong guy. I've met him in real life. He's just very, very physically fit. And now he kind of runs his own management company and manages a bunch of these guys, giving back to that next level. But his durability is going right out. He's not nearly as willing to engage. If Jamie Pickett can knock you down, the ghost of Chris Weidman can knock you down. Well, Brad can certainly score a knockdown, if not a knockout. Brad can stuff more of these takedowns than not and keep this fight standing. And then a game of low volume versus low volume, I kind of feel like Brad Tavares kind of outpoints him ever so slightly. You've got Anders saying, I'm done here, I'm walking away. Brad's been a company man his entire career. Brad's been in Las Vegas the last 15 years. The fight's in Las Vegas. It may be close. It may be a split. I feel like it's going to go in Brad's favor. So for me, it's Brad Tavares' win. Hopefully he just finishes the job. It's hard to say hopefully. I actually really like Eryk Anders, and I don't want to see him get knocked out in his retirement fight. But on a betting perspective, I want this thing done sooner rather than later, because the longer any fight goes, the more your ticket starts to get in jeopardy, and I just don't want to have to sweat it out. It's a sweaty type fight, minus 125, basically 50-50 for the most part, but I feel like Brad maybe just has like ever so slightly left in the tank that he can slowly outpoint him, if not just catch him with something random and put him away. So I'm going to take the Hawaiian Brad Tavares to upset the retirement of Eryk Anders. And of course, the narrative being that nobody ever wins their pre-announced retirement fight. So Eryk Anders is no different.
Yeah, that fight sounds awful to me.
It's not a great fight.
It's not a great fight. Myktybek Orolbai takes on Chris Curtis.
This is a great fight.
Orolbai, a minus 285 favorite to come back on your boy, the Action Man. Plus 245. Your thoughts?
I'm actually super tempted to pick Chris Curtis. I just don't know that I end up getting there. Like Orolbai I really like this guy. He's a prospect. He's big. He looks like he's the missing link between man and caveman. Like he's got a big old brow on him, and He's a primitive dude, but he's big and he's strong. But his technique is fairly clunky. Like, the striking is not that good. Sure, he carries a good amount of power in that right hand, but if you're going to get into a prolonged striking exchange with him, he's extremely hittable. He walks on straight lines. He keeps his hands down, and he's a little bit slow on his reaction for those big shots. His last fight, he's coming off a killer KO or Jack Hermanson, and I think that's what's going to resonate in people's minds. Oh, dude, here's a guy that used to fight at 155 in Orolbai, who he couldn't make 155. So they gave him these catch weights of 160. He couldn't make those, so they gave him catch weights of 165. That was still a little tough for him. And then finally against Jack Hermanson is his first time going to 170. Jack is a career middleweight who's going down to 170 for the first time ever. Jack's chin's not very good. He's a giant human being who's now coming down to 170. When you look at that fight, Jack Hermanson is outlanding Orolbai. He's got him outstruck 19-14 or something. And then Orolbai lands the big shot. If Orolbai doesn't land the big shot, if Jack Hermanson isn't compromised from a giant weight cut, if Jack Hermanson had more durability, that thing probably starts to get greasy. And that's my thing with Orolbai. I don't think his striking is good enough to rely on it extensively. You saw in his fight with Matus Rebecki, he starts off well. The longer it goes, he walks into far too many shots. Rebecki's not even all that good. And Rebecki's like 5'7", fights at 155. And yet he's got his eye completely swollen shut, and he's hitting Orolbai at will. Orolbai starts to tire. Maybe it's the weight cut. Maybe it's this. Maybe it's that. Maybe it's that. I just don't think that in a striking battle for 15 minutes, he's really going to be able to keep to it and with a big success other than the one-hitter quitter. As far as his wrestling goes, yeah, dude, this guy's a big, strong guy. 7 takedowns over Euros Medic and a submission. That aged pretty well. The Elvis Brenner fight, Brenner's tiny for the record, but I mean, this one aged pretty well as well. I rate Brenner, and he's able to get takedowns on him. Tofik Musayev, quick little takedown. He gets the Kimura. That's fair, but Chris Curtis has largely had good takedown defense. You're seeing even just
so much recently.
Maybe not so much recently, say the Brandon Allen rematch, right? Brandon Allen takes him down 6 times, but it's a 25-minute long fight. He does a fairly good job of getting back up to his feet. He holds Brandon Allen to a split decision. He outstrikes Brandon Allen in that fight, and Brandon Allen is a middleweight contender. So how does Orolbai stack up with his wrestling and his grappling compared to Brandon Allen? What if the fight announced was Orolbai versus Brandon Allen? Are you picking Orolbai? Is he going to take down Brandon Allen and submit him? No. So Chris Curtis has largely been in good company. That's just a couple fights back. His last 2 fights back against Roman Kopylov. Kopylov took him down. I don't rate that, but I don't know. Big dude with strong linear striking. Was able to fight long. Catch him with 1 second left in the fight. There's no doubt about it at 39, Chris Curtis's best days have passed him. I'm not going to disagree with that. He looks slower. It looks like he takes a lot more damage. His Philly shell roll with the punches, it's not nearly as effective. His takedown defense is probably not going to be as effective. All the writing's on the wall for why this big, old, younger Mikolai Orolbai is going to come in here and put it on Chris Curtis. I get all that. But in the same breath, it's like Chris Curtis is a point-style guy that's able to keep fights relatively close. His last fight with Max Griffin, I thought he won, but it's a split. His fight with Brandon Allen, the rematch, and there's an argument he won, but it's a split. His fight with Marc-Andre Barrio, I didn't even think this was a competitive fight at all. And it was in Canada, but it's a split. All of a sudden, 3 of his last 4 fights have been split decisions. He's trending downwards. But if he can keep this fight close and competitive against Orolbai, and he's a plus 190, plus 200 underdog, depending on where you're going to be able to find him.
45.
Yeah, there you go. I mean, money's coming in on Orolbai because he's younger, and Orolbai at 170 is going to be so much better. He's got 1 fight at 170 over a guy coming off a terrible weight cut who's chinny to begin with. Chris Curtis isn't chinny. Chris Curtis knows how to make 170. This is the weight class he should be in. And really, it just comes down to, can he stuff these takedowns? And if he can, he's going to put it on Orolbai. He's the better striker. He's got the better volume. He's a lot cleaner. He has a jab. He's got a lot of weapons that are going to disrupt that front motion of Orolbai. Orolbai's eye got completely busted up from Rebecki, and Rebecki has no reach. Let me bring this up. What is Rebecki's reach? Just for the sake of an argument here. We've got Orolbai with a 74, and Matus Rebecki has a 66-inch reach. 5'7" with a 66-inch reach. And Orolbai can't get out of the way of the punches. He walks into them constantly. Chris Curtis is 5'10" with a 75-inch reach. I think he's going to have success striking. He's got to minus P's and Q's, avoid the big right hand, stuff the takedown. But hell, man, his good buddy and training partner Sean Strickland was able to stuff the takedowns against Anthony Hernandez and put it on him. In many ways, Chris Curtis is live to do something similar. The difference is he's 39 and at the end, and Sean Strickland's still kind of in the prime of his career, looks like. So this would be no means an easy walk in the park. It's going to be a very tough one, and you'll be clenched up, but I don't want to get burnt by Orolbai this week. So I think I'm going to take a small little shot on the action man for old time's sake.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, you got a lot of dogs. You're going dog hunting this week, Coach.
Well, that's why when
Curtis, you got Bruno Silva, you got Asplund, you got Hardwick, and then Lemos. It seemed like you were circling the wagon.
No, that's well, that's why I passed on the Lemos, but I ended up taking Robertson and I passed on Cutelaba and took C. And I told you during those ones, I just don't got the cojones for it. I got other dogs later that I'm gonna have to pull the trigger on. But yeah, this looks like a dog city type card.
Hardwick, Silva, and Curtis, I think, are plays that I'll get to this week.
Yeah,
you make a lot of good points about Chris Curtis, and trust me, it's like it can be kind of frustrating backing him. He seems to complain a lot while he's in the cage about certain things. Like he's a bit, for being a fan favorite of the, Dogger Pass / Bookie Beatdown podcast. I don't know if he's particularly loved in the MMA gambling community because of some of his antics and retirements and so on and so forth. I don't really care as long as he wins me money. And yeah, plus 245. Chris Curtis, former middleweight, who's been fighting at 170 and should be a little bit better suited at 170. Weigh-ins are obviously important. But yeah, Orolbai was enormous, barely making and actually missing 155 pounds a bunch. There's no real size disparity between the two.
No, same height, 1 inch.
It's so funny that they were fighting 2 weight classes apart for all that time, because there really isn't going to be much size disparity here. But Orolbai's game works best when he's able to absolutely bully people. So as long as Curtis has that takedown defense on point, he's got way better technical boxing than Orolbai. Orolbai is a dangerous mutant with a cross-eyed that, he's got crazy strength that you can't teach that. You have to endure like a nuclear holocaust in your village to be able to have that type of strength. They don't teach that in MMA. Anyway, we got Bolaji taking on Manuel Sousa. 2 guys who look good getting off the bus. Sousa minus 270 favorite to come back on Oki plus 230. Oki's decision making makes it hard to back the guy. I understand that Manuel Sousa on regional scene hasn't always looked the greatest. Volume hasn't always been the best. Losing Archie Colgan, you can kind of give the guy a pass on that.
For sure.
Tim Wild's a pretty damn good win over in Bellator.
Mauricio Ruffy,
even though Wild's old. This Paulo Henrique, because I taped this guy for his LFA fights.
Oh, he's
the Paulo Henrique fight is it's a bad look. That fight is a really bad look because that if you actually track that Paulo Henrique Lala, I believe his name is, that guy is horrible. So going to the decision with him, not a great look long term. But what I can't get over with Bolaji and I feel like both of these guys are super, super physically strong that it'll probably offset each other. But it's that Chris Duncan fight where it's just he just shot himself into the same death trap twice in a row. He's not making good decisions out there. Is he maybe a little bit of a longer, faster striker? Potentially. I just think Sousa has the way better ground game. And maybe he's coming into his own. We can't take every single dog on this card. Oki's not one that's getting my money. It's just how heavily do I get invested in Manuel Sousa this week? Your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree. So with Manuel Sousa, it seems like the way to beat him is you're going to want to take this guy down. He's a very good striker. He's sharp. He's technical. He's got massive power. And Paulo Henrique Lea he's a really tall guy, kind of awkward dude. He's also got the Charles Oliveira bleach blonde hair effect. So who knows? It's not a good fight. I get it. Archie Colgan fight, though. I mean, Archie Colgan wrestled at the University of Wyoming. He's a very solid wrestler, and he's able to take Manuel Sousa down. Manuel Sousa on the Contender Series versus Christian Perez. he's also getting taken down. It's not the greatest look early. He kind of has to make a later comeback in the fight. But as soon as he lets his hands go, this guy lands big power. He's one of the better looking prospects, I believe, from the last season of the Contender Series. And if you're going to want to stand with this guy, he's capable of knocking you out. Bolaji Oki, meanwhile, he's kind of the same thing. He's got extreme athleticism. He hits very hard. The difference between him and Manuel Sousa is technical, so he's not overreaching with everything. He's not exploding to every technique. So he can actually carry this power into that second and third round. Oki seems to just completely tire out as he has those big explosive kinetic motions and tries to knock his opponents out. His last fight with Mason Jones, he saw exactly that. He scored a clean knockdown over Mason Jones. Jones pops back up, starts grinding on him. By the second round, Oki's tired out. His fight with Michael Aswell was up a weight class maybe it wasn't up a weight class, but he was on really short notice, not expected to do anything. And goddamn, you see Bolaji Oki completely gas out, and Aswell's coming forward. Aswell's coming forward a little too much and walking into shots. Oki's keeping up a high work rate, but the body language just really wasn't good. And then you mentioned the Duncan fight. You're winning on the feet, and yet you keep shooting straight into his best move with his pulling on the guillotine. The ring IQ is not quite there. More so is the cardio is not quite there. And what's the path, in my opinion, to beating Manuel Sousa? Or what's the path of least resistance? Don't stand with him. You're going to want to go ahead and take this guy down. And I don't think Oki, one, has the same wrestling as Archie Colgan. But two, I don't think that sticking to a wrestling heavy game plan is really who he is. You know, if you're talking about a guy that tires out, he wants to be at his best range, you know, using his striking, picking and choosing some shots. If you can really cause this guy to have to push the action and shoot multiple takedowns, and at some point he's going to tire. Once he tires, he's going to be sitting duck for Sousa's counterpunching. So I got Manuel Sousa catching him by knockout, but you're not wrong when you're assessing probable underdogs that do have a chance of coming through. Oki's a talented guy. He's actually a very talented guy. It's the bad decision-making makes him closer to a 50-50. He's plus money here. So you just got to hope that 50% of the time that he does show up, he looks really good, which is true. For me, it's just not enough for me to back the guy. So
I didn't pick Oki.
No, I get it. Like you said, we've picked enough underdogs.
You like saying you and then saying things that I don't actually say and then being like, no, I didn't say that. You said that.
Well, give me an example. I don't think I meant you specifically. I'm never talking like I'm talking.
Look, I wouldn't blame you for taking Oki.
Yeah, I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to the people that are listening to the show. I'm not going to blame you. You're sitting at home listening to the show. You can take it how you want to take it, but that's what I mean. When I say something like, hey, don't blow your whole bankroll this weekend on Gillian Robertson, I'm not talking about you, Paul Shaughnessy, blowing your whole bankroll on Gillian Robertson. I'm talking about someone that may be at home being like, oh, I'm into redheads, and Gillian's won 4 in a row, and this Lemos chick is old and salty and doesn't throw enough. This is an automatic pick for me. I'm saying there's the other point to it, right?
Lemos isn't picking you. You're at a party. You're not her type.
Yeah, no, you're extremely right about that. I don't think either of them are picking me personally, but I think I have a better chance with the one that actually plays on my team. Anyways, regardless,
the competition.
Yeah. Regardless. To get back to the Bolaji Oki, if you, the person sitting at home, are looking for underdogs this week, I could see Oki being one of those guys that's viable because he does have big power. He's got good athleticism. He can match Sousa in a lot of these areas. Sousa, meanwhile, you can make an excuse that Archie Colgan took him down. He's a very good wrestler. Christian Perez is Mexican. He took him down 3 times.
Mm-hmm.
You know, had a submission attempt credited to him as well. It's not crazy to think that Bolaji could spring this thing out, but for my money, I don't think that he's got the cardio to really keep pace with Sousa, and at some point, Manuel is going to be able to catch him and put him away. So both guys are young in the game. Bolaji Oki is actually 2 years younger. You know, maybe at some point he does turn the corner, but for right now, I feel like Sousa is just a little bit ahead in the striking department, a little bit sharper with the power, and at some point just catches them. So it's Sousa for me.
Hecher Sosa takes on Luan Lacerda. Sosa a -250 favorite to come back on Lacerda +210. Who do you have? Not the proverbial you. You. Cody Saftig, you.
The you, not Su Young you, who we'll talk about in a little bit. So Luan Lacerda had taken 2 years off. So he loses to Cody Stamen in his debut. He loses to Damon Blackshear in his follow-up effort. He takes 2 years off. Yeah, a little bit older, but he's been working on his jiu-jitsu. He's been working on some striking, and he gives us prime opportunity to fight Simon Oliveira. I load up on him. There is no way Simon Oliveira is going to win. Simon Oliveira is just god-awful. And guy's 0-4 in the UFC. He was 0-3 at the time. He's 0-4 now. Load up. I'm not expecting a world beater out of Luan Lacerda, just competent enough guy. Oh, man, he looked awful. He looked just brutal. I mean, stationary, not super fast, not super defensive. Tried to use his wrestling a little bit, which is clearly the path against Simon Oliveira, who'd previously given up 11 takedowns to Tony Gravely. The guy's tall, moving up a weight class. Lacerda had all the advantages, and I thought he largely struggled up until midway through the second round where he's able to snatch up that armbar. But knew right then and there, this is a guy that is not good. 2 years away from the sport, he came back with less skills than he did when he left. He's got injuries. He's a little bit older. He's stale everywhere. Not looking to back this guy in any spot. So now he drives Hector Sosa. And yeah, dude, Hector Sosa actually, really not that bad. Because you are a hardcore fight fan of the sport, Paul Shaughnessy, you will understand that Hector Sosa's actually got some credible wins for WoW and FCR. Now, that doesn't mean anything to the average person at home, and I understand, but he actually looks pretty good. He's fairly strong. He's got a decent enough grappling game. He's able to get his positions when he wants them. Picked up the WoW title, which is a Fight Pass product. FCR won that title as well. Thomas Gronvall. You're not going to rate a lot of these guys because people have not heard of them, but for a European regional level, Sosa's paid his dues, man. He's actually beating quite a few decent guys. Jumping on the
Johnny, it's not a Tuma.
Johnny is not a Tuma. Well, even as an amateur,
he did lose to your boy Carl Manassian, but that's a UFC, borderline UFC.
Carl Manassian hits hard. This is a big hitter. And then you look at Sosa on his amateur career, right? His amateur career, he was 17-5. He competed at a number of IMAFs. His losses are to Zrako Dimitrov, split. Abdulmanap Magomedov by decision, Delian Gorgiev on a split, Christian Yorga on a split, PK Zadeh by decision. He'd never been finished. Only guy that has been him was Carla Manesian, who he just hit so damn hard, that guy. Point being is that he's got 22 fights as an amateur, largely at the IMAF level, had never been finished, and fought a lot of good guys. At the pro level, he's now rocking a 14-1 pro record. He won the FCR title in Sweden. He won the WoW title in Spain. He got in the Contender Series where he fought Max and Lee, was a slight plus money underdog, and Max and Lee's not good, I get it, but Sosa goes to what he does best. Takedowns, control time, submission attempts. He's a lot more well-rounded and prepared to make a UFC debut than your average Contender Series guy, by far. And I think that's going to make a whole lot of difference here. He's going to take down Luan Lacerda. He's going to out-grapple him. The fight's standing. He's got more than enough durability to way out of the way of that rinky-dink striking from Lacerda and just have his way. So on a card that feels very uncertain all over the board, maybe I'm getting myself into a trap, but I like Hector Sosa, Paul. I do.
Yeah, and just to kind of add to that, the fight that he won the WoW championship, that Yaman Mujahid is he ended up following up that, or Mujahid ended up following up that loss to with Delphi Humor in the follow-up fight. So but he was kind of the most highly touted Spanish prospect at the time, and he knocked his ass out in 14 seconds or something like that. He absolutely just completely flatlined Yaman. So came in as an underdog on Contender Series. Everything's pointing towards this guy being ready to compete in the UFC, and he's taking on a double tread guy in Lacerda, who really, frankly, if you really look at, I guess that Merciless Alves fight looks pretty good. Is that the same guy?
Yeah, he won the $500,000 in PFL after.
Yeah, well, that fight, that win looks pretty good in hindsight. But I will say against Cody Stamen, Blackshear. And then, are we really going to give a guy credit for a win over Simon Oliveira? That's that was the layup for the bantamweight division. So you can't take all the dogs. Going to be a lot of dogs for you taking a PRP this week. Like, if it's been rough, whatever, you hit this one, and then you don't have any books to bet at anymore because they're broke. Hecher Sosa is the pick for me as well. We got Beatriz Mesquita taking on Montserrat Rendon, minus 600 for B, plus 450 for Rendon. Rendon, former 145 pounder. She will have massive size disparity here. We ran into this exact trap on Contender Series, or sorry, not Contender Series.
LFA.
On LFA going, man, give me we're talking about Sierra Dinwiddie. Man, she's just so much bigger, and she doesn't really get taken down all that much, and B absolutely flatlined. Frankly, it was the best performance of B's career by far. Like, she had some other fights. Like, we've been breaking down, the regionals for over a year now, and like Hope Chase fight, like that was dodgy at points. There's some other fights I can't remember off the top of my head that like she looks gettable, she looks exploitable, and she's not that young as a prospect. Rendon hasn't really been taken down yet, but something tells me the UFC is like they found an opponent that probably can't cause her too much damage on the feet. Now it's all up to B Mesquita to get takedowns and dominate from top control. Can she do that here? Because like if she can't, I don't want to really be involved in a fight where she's going tit for tat at minus 600 as a striker. I think she does get the takedowns. I think it's kind of very similar to what we saw in the Dinwiddie fight, but where are you at with this one?
Yeah, same place. I mean, I tried to fade Bia, as you mentioned, the Sierra Dinwiddie fight, largely based on her fights with Hope Chase. Wins the first round against Hope Chase. Second round, you can tell that's like the tide's starting to turn. She's getting a little bit tired. It's an illegal up kick, but I don't think it did a ton of damage. You can see she was tired. You see she was getting frustrated. And presented with the opportunity to quit and take the DQ, she quit and took the DQ. Dinwiddie works on the oil mines. She's a big, strong, physical girl. And yeah, man, that's a 10-8 first round. And second round would have been a 10-8 if not for she ends up getting a TKO stoppage out of it. It looks like once she gets the fight to the ground, there's different levels to it. Again, she's not only a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt, she's a former ADCC competitor. In grappling, Jennifer Maia, she fought for UFC title, subbed her in the first round. Miesha Tate, UFC champion, subbed her in the first round. More impressive, she beat Elizabeth Clay. She has a win over Fiona Davies. She's beaten Ana Carolina Vieira. She's beaten, I guess that would make up the most of her Michelle Nicolini. She's beaten a lot of high-level BJJ black belts, or just in the case of Miesha Tate and what's her name? Everyone's favorite PFL BJJ black belt. Jenna Bishop subbed her in the first round as well. Against MMA level BJJ black belts, or even legitimate BJJ black belts, it's like, yeah, Bia Mesquita has shown that she's a level above. It's with less than 10 pro fights. Can she take a punch? Does she have the heart? Does she have the will? Does she have the desire? And right now, it just looks like fighters aren't unable to keep the fight standing with her. Dinwiddie had 0 chances of keeping it standing. And even Irina Alexieva, I mean, she's the Russian Ronda. She's a judo black belt. Nothing. It gets tossed on her head and then gets submitted. So with Montserrat Rendon, technically speaking, has a 100% takedown defense in the UFC. But who has she been fighting? Yeah. She is 5'8", so she's much larger than her. And if she can force this fight upright, maybe she's able to have some success and be the better striker. The bigger girl, come forward, land shots. But this fight hits the ground even once, you're not going anywhere. It's different to say, force her to take you down 5-6 times. Bia don't need that. She just needs 1 in the first round, 1 in the second round. Now you need to finish her in the third round because she's up 2. Well, when was the last time Montserrat Rendon finished an opponent, you say? Oh, wait. Never in her entire career. As an amateur, she finished some girls. But as a pro, she has 7 wins, all 7 wins by decision. If you could not finish Tamires Vidal, you held her to a split. Elise Pereira was unranked, making her UFC debut. You held her to a split. You can't be down 2 rounds. You have no submission game, especially over Bia. You have no knockout game other than it is MMA. I mean, anything can happen in this sport. I get that part. But Rendon mostly is just at some point this fight hits the ground, Bia is going to start scooting up some rounds. If she does not take you down, then do you really have enough to really definitively win these rounds standing, to hurt her, to push her, to mind your P's and Q's for the full 15 minutes and not give up takedowns? I don't know. Last but not least, like, it is the Apex. It's a smaller cage. So it's not enough for you to move your feet and try to matador her. She's going to get you up against the cage. At that point, she can pull guard for all she cares. She's going to sweep and she's going to end up on top. I've seen her do it before, so it does seem like it's a good fight for Bia Mesquita. But when you're talking about women's MMA in general, especially with this kind of line, at weigh-ins, you are going to see a size discrepancy.
Make it a better price.
It might make it a better price. But Montserrat Rendon is she's a Mexican fighter. She's got that pride. She's got that let's scrap. That's not the way to approach Bia. You got to be fighting as a point fighter off your back foot. You got to constantly move, stick the jab, and move your feet. And Rendon just doesn't really do that. So unless she pitches a career best perfect performance and Bia's a little bit sick and a little bit flat and can't muster up 2 takedowns in 15 minutes, then yeah, I think it should be fairly one-sided for the Brazilian. So I'm going to take Rendon, or not Rendon. I'm going to take Bia Mesquita to get the job done.
I think you were way too nice. Way too nice when she said, like, when you said Montserrat Rendon comes to scrap and yada yada yada. Like, she comes to stand in cage control, and we backed her against Alice Pereira, who had like literally only fought in a gym, or not
almost
a gym, in a shopping mall in some random city in Brazil, and like they were like literally giving her like fights that should be illegal under like international law. And like that fight was, we had like a decent plus money ticket. I think she was like plus 150, plus 160, something like that. And we ended up winning, and like you felt okay going to the scorecards, but it's like, the market never really made sense on that fight whatsoever. And 2, I walked away from that fight being like, I thought this underdog was going to be a hell of a lot easier than that. She went for 0 for 5 on takedowns in this fight against a very completely unproven prospect in Alice Pereira. And it was very, very greasy, very, very close type of decision. A lot of the time, a lot of her successes were literally just like standing cage control, being able to hold the fight, control the fight, and stall. She gets in close like that. Well, she's going up against somebody who welcomes, close the distance, come inside, give me or break that distance so I can spider monkey onto your back or do whatever to force a grappling exchange if I can't necessarily get the takedown. So,
well, you got those numbers in front of you as well, but like even Rendon versus Daria Zenelikova, right?
Yeah.
If you remember that fight. So she actually gets the 3 takedowns and she got over 5 minutes of control time. The significant strikes is 57-25 for Daria. It's the totals. The totals are 73-28. Rendon was on top for 5 minutes. Doesn't do anything. No. Rendon had, look at the significant strike percentage, okay? 17% of her significant strikes. So you look at her career total, she's rocking a 28% striking accuracy, which is it's about as low as you're going to find from any fighter. She misses 3 of 4 punches that she throws, or strikes that she throws. So yeah, when your path to victory is chin check and Bia, you have no career finishes, you miss on 75% of the things you throw, and you're low volume. Yeah, even if you were on top the whole time, your opponent's slapping you in the face with open palm strikes and you're not doing anything, judges don't like it. So the more you talk about it, Bia at minus 600 seems to make sense now, doesn't it? But it's women's MMA, so taper it off a little bit, the expectations.
I mean, if you think about it, like her 2 most successful fights, Vidal, 3 of 5 on take. It's just like, well, that's great. What she wants in a fight is either to hold you up against the cage or take you down and go into your guard. Well, it's just like you're just going into the hornet's nest then, right? Can she, like, probably, you'll feel very uncomfortable having a minus 600 Bia Mesquita. You'll feel like you're backing Bia Malecki if it's a 15 fight. Yeah. Wrong B, but you will not be feeling good about it
good.
if she doesn't get this fight to the mat. Like, it'll be way too close, but like Bia Mesquita can win a fight on the feet here as well. Like, Monza is just not throwing enough out there. But yeah, where Monza tries to take the fight is going right into the hornet's nest. So I think the UFC knows what they're doing here. Monza hasn't been finished, right? What is B? Probably too short still. What is B by sub? Yeah, minus 120. Decision.
What's the TKO?
Decision plus 300. Mesquita by decision. KO is plus 450.
Okay, well, you remember that Dinwiddie fight. Obviously, we
Yeah.
don't have numbers. She may have landed like
Well,
200 punches to the head. Like,
People
that
are
was
too quick.
vicious. It was just an absolute thrashing with ground
It
and
opened
pound.
at plus 800.
Well,
know how these-
they're soft. It's a soft 800, but all the same, even at
you
plus
can get like
$450.
$100 down on that. If I knew about a plus 800, I was going to be plus 450 within a day. I feel pretty good about having that ticket, but plus 450 is probably getting a little bit closer to realistic at that point. Elijah Smith taking on Su Young Yu. Elijah Smith is the favorite at. Let me just pull up the all tab here. Minus 200. Come back on Su Young Yu. Plus 170. Tricky fight. Very, very tricky fight. I understand. The younger prospect, so on and so forth. But that Vince Morales fight, you kind of look at that fight, you look at that situation, and you go like, that's kind of exactly what Su Young Yu wants to do in a fight. It's not going to be pretty. It's probably going to be close, contentious, and has split decision written all over it. But it's like a lot of this fight is going to come down to those grappling exchanges, and Su Young Yu is just able. He seems smart in terms of just being able to like land enough strikes to keep himself in it, right?
Yeah.
Like the Elijah Smith win last time out there against Kazama just came like a bat out of hell. Absolutely just got him out of there super, super quick. But it's just like he set a pace that he probably won't be able to keep in doing something like that. I think this fight kind of is a lot more in line with what happened in the Morales fight. And let's be honest, if you bet Elijah Smith that night, your butt was puckered when they went to the scorecards. Tempted to say another dogger pass spot here, just edging it out, being way too close for comfort, and in that type of situation, it would be a plus 170. Your thoughts?
Yeah, that's much of the same. As these guys actually kind of mirror image each other a little bit. Like Elijah Smith comes from a wrestling background. His father, Gilbert Smith, Ultimate Fighter alum. This kid's well-rounded. I mean, he's only 23 years old. He's the better athlete. He's faster. I think his striking has got a long ways to go, but it's similar to Yu's. I mean, they both prefer the boxing style of it. They don't throw a ton of kicks. They try to keep it technical. It just seems like Smith's a little bit faster, a little bit sharper. His wrestling, a little more explosive, a little more athletic. Feel like he's slightly better than you in a lot of these areas, but it's not by these big margins. It's very close. It's very competitive. Smith is a work in progress. You watch him on the regional scene. It's like, for the most part, other than lost to Reyes Cortez, Tracy Cortez's younger brother, he's looked pretty good on the regional. It's the run since getting on the Contender Series. So against Aaron Tao, oh man, this guy looks really good in the first 2 rounds. The 3rd round, he almost gets knocked out. The fight with Vince Morales, he almost got knocked down in the 2nd round as well. And he got caught in a bunch of Darce chokes. That last fight with Kazama, he gets caught in a triangle choke and then power bombs his way out. Like, he's young. He's 23 years old. He's prone to be making mistakes. And in all of these fights, he does make a few mistakes. So can someone capitalize on it and make him pay? Yeah. But to this point, only Reyes Cortez has been able to take him out. And even that was, later into the 3rd round. Can you tire this guy out? Can you make this guy work? Can you
Probably
chin check him? No, that's where I struggle to find the pick.
I was answering your question.
Yeah. Yeah, probably not. No, I'm going to agree. It's like, I don't think so. When I compare, okay, so he's fighting on Road to the Contender Series. So is taking down Shohei Nose or this Dearmas Zawupasi? That guy actually can wrestle, I suppose. But does taking down those guys translate to you're going to take down Elijah Smith? Again, a guy who's very explosive and has a very solid wrestling base of his own? Maybe not. I go to the AJ Cunningham fight. He was a giant favorite over AJ Cunningham, Bryce Mitchell's cousin, who once upon a time was forced to eat dog food in the kennel. Really weird story. I feel bad for the guy, I really do. But yeah, you saw him do like the bare minimum. He just gets takedowns and holds it. That's it. He lands 18 significant strikes over 15 minutes against AJ Cunningham, who I like the guy, man. He's had a really tough go at things, but he could be possibly the worst guy that the UFC had signed for quite some time. He's not good, any sense of the word. And yet, yeah, you just did the bare minimum to hold him down. Long Zhao was last time out. Well, Long Zhao showed against Cody Garbrandt this past weekend that like his takedown defense really isn't all that bad. He got taken down a time or two, just popped up immediately. So in that spot, it's like you had no success taking him down, so he's forced to strike, and he gets outstruck. It's a close fight. It's not necessarily a fight I thought he won, but he does just enough, lands a few better shots, has a bit of cage control time that he ends up getting the unanimous decision. But going from that level to Elijah Smith seems like it's a little bit tougher. Smith, meanwhile, they're doing the right things. He's fought Vince Morales. Vince Morales is a black belt. Vince Morales has got 10 fights in the UFC. Vince Morales is one of the coaches at Syndicate MMA. Syndicate or Extreme Couture? I think it's Syndicate. He's one of the coaches at Syndicate over in Las Vegas. You know, this Toshima Kazama, black belt, really good submission guy. Aaron Tao, yeah, cheats on the scales, but Aaron Tao slugs it out. Those are all guys that can test you and they can show some vulnerabilities. And the fact that he's been able to make adjustments and come back and beat these guys means a lot. So how does he match up with you? Well, if this ends going to be a straight wrestling match, I think Smith's the one that gets the takedowns. Smith has a little more control time. Smith wins that way. If this ends up being a striking battle, I think he's a little bit faster, a little bit sharper, maybe lands the target, keeps the volume a little bit higher, but it is going to be a close and competitive fight. Both guys have a lot of the same qualities and characteristics. Use a smart guy that knows how to win rounds or moments of rounds to get the decision. And Smith's a guy that loses certain parts of rounds and makes it a lot closer than it need be. Sure, he's a freak athlete, big power bomb. Who does that? It's more so for me. He's 23 years old. He's making improvements. He's getting better. He's a legitimate prospect. He has a high ceiling. Yu's 30 years old. This is kind of a refined version of him. This is kind of, you know, where he's at. But being 7 years older is not a bad thing in this case. He's got a little more experience. He's a little more of a veteran. He's got a higher ring IQ. He's just got to figure out how to exploit those holes in Smith's game long enough to squeak out a decision. But for me, I don't think he gets there personally. So it's Elijah Smith, and I think it goes to decision. I got Elijah Smith by decision to try to improve the number a bit.
So you are telling the proverbial you to fade you?
Well put. Because, yeah, once you think about it, that's actually exactly what I'm saying.
Sam Page takes on Piera Rodriguez, -150 for Piera. Sam Page, +130 as the underdog. I mean, this fight 100% is going to come down to who is initiating the takedowns, who is getting top control. And those are like the toughest matchups to see pre-flop a lot of the times. So it's even, I would hate to put myself in a situation where I'm comparing Piera Rodriguez versus Sam Hughes to Charles Oliveira versus Max Holloway for the BMF belt. But the way that fight happened is just like within a round of that fight, you're just like, oh shit. Like Charles is way stronger in those positions. And once he gets to that position, Max has no answer to get back up. And then we kind of saw that over and over and people complain. I didn't think it was a boring fight by any stretch. Anytime Charles Oliveira gets anybody to the ground, it's exciting whether he gets a finish or not. People are like, oh, you can't do that. It's like he was trying to get the finish. Max's defense was just way too good. But yeah, this fight's going to come down to who is getting that top position over and over. And when I kind of look at like the stats between these two of these girls, it's like there's just been fights where Sam doesn't have that wrestling advantage and she ends up on her back and she gets controlled for a certain period of time. Piera's got a pretty good gym around her and her wrestling has been really ramping up, fight in and fight out. You know, obviously Gillian got a sub on her before the Carnelossi fight. She killed herself on that one with the headbutt, and then Carnelossi pulled an Aljamain Sterling. So outside of that, and I guess obviously they've already had a fight against each other.
Yeah,
before.
5 takedowns last time.
5 takedowns. So we already see the answer.
Mm.
Full disclosure, I didn't go back and watch Hughes versus Sampage 1. All right. Are we falling for a trap then, Cody? Minus 150 seems oddly fair for something like the biggest question was kind of answered in that first fight, was it not?
No, well, see, this is why I think it's a lot closer than the first fight, maybe. But when you watch back that first fight, anyways, it looks like, oh, Piera Rodriguez, right? 5 takedowns on 11 attempts, got the control time, but really she didn't get the control time. She got 1 minute and 56 seconds of control time off 5 takedowns. She shot 11 takedowns and got less than 2 minutes of control time. The round by round, when you break it down, Sam Hughes outstruck her 21-19 in the first round. Piera Rodriguez a takedown for 17 seconds. The second round, Piera Rodriguez all day. She gets 3 takedowns for 1 minute and 16 seconds. 3 takedowns. 1 minute and 16 seconds of control time. The third round is an absolute toss-up. For the record, Sam Hughes actually did outstrike her again. So Sam Hughes outstruck her in the first round and the third round. Gave up 5 takedowns, less than 2 minutes of control time. So now when you look back at this thing, it's like, oh, you know what? Piera Rodriguez has just been doing the same thing in all of her fights. After Sam Hughes, she took down Gillian Robertson once, gassed, got armbarred. Took down Carnelosi once, headbutted her in the face. A warning. Okay. All right. Headbutted her in the face the second time and got DQ'd. But Josephine Knudsen, 8 takedowns. Not high in the striking numbers, but the 8 takedowns. Ketlin Sousa, 7 takedowns. That's kind of where she lives and dies, is just she gets takedowns. Now, against Sampage, the last time they fought, she got 5, but didn't have control time. Now the fight's standing. Sampage is the one that's coming forward and landing the better shots. They're both the same age, but when you look at Sam Hughes, she has this distinctive ability to lose the first round, have her coach be like, come on, Sam! And then she reacts. She reacts really well. She comes out, she fights her heart out. Shauna Bannon, Stephanie Luciano, oof. Victoria Dudakova, lost to Yasmin Yerigui, not great. But yeah, no, low-key, she's won 4 of her last 5 fights. She's got a good ability of scrambling, getting back up to her feet. As you've seen on her last 2, she's getting offensive takedowns of her own. It's very much a 50-50 fight. It was minus 125 Piera Rodriguez yesterday. Felt like maybe I'd fall into that hole, but money's still coming in on her. And if I can get an even better number on Sam Hughes, this is a quintessential CF dot model. Chick fight, dog or pass. Sam Hughes is what? I'm going to say this is, let me just bring it up officially, because this is where she thrives.
Feel like, what are Sam's usual prices here? It just feels like,
okay, against Stephanie Luciano.
She was a plus 150 underdog against Stephanie Luciano. She was plus 173 against Dudakova.
She was plus
245 against Amory.
Yeah.
We're getting closer
she was
to
plus
like
money against
stuff here.
She was plus money against Elise Reed. She was plus
Too
money
short.
against Estella
Too short
Nunez.
for Sampage. I just know when we know that she probably is giving up, like she's probably not as good of a wrestler as this girl. She usually has to have some success offensively wrestling. And if that's not there, I don't know, man.
Well, again, but you'd have to go back. You'd have to go back and watch the last fight where she does not take down Rodriguez at all. All of her success happens standing. She outstrikes her in 2 of the 3 rounds. The judges had it 29-28. It's a close fight, and she gave up those takedowns. Has Piera Rodriguez's wrestling improved since that fight? Maybe. I think it's maybe, but I think it's largely the same. And has Sam Hughes's wrestling gotten better since that fight? Well, yeah. I don't know. Looks like it. She's offensively wrestling girls now. Even Victoria Dudakova, big, strong girl, right? Goes 3 for 10 on takedowns. As soon as Hughes gets back up, she's the one landing the volume. She's the one landing the more damaging blows. If you're looking at this objectively as a judge and you say, well, Piera Rodriguez is getting takedowns and trying to hold her down, and whenever Sam Hughes clears space, gets back up, she's the one that's landing the shots, maybe she's going to edge it out her favor. To me, it's more so that it's easy to say Rodriguez took her down 5 times. Yeah, she took her down 3 times in the second round and had 1 minute and 17 seconds of control time. It's not enough to just get a takedown and your opponent pops back up, especially not now. So, listen, it's a 50-50 fight. Is it too short on Sam Hughes? Anything with a plus next to it with Sam Hughes in this fight, I'll take. because it should be minus 100, minus 100. That doesn't exist. So you'd get a minus 115 on both sides. That's not the case right now. You're getting minus 150 on Piera Rodriguez simply because she's won this fight before and she trains at a better gym. Not buying it. Not buying it. Sam Hughes, at the very least, you know she's going to fight for your dollar because she's rugged, man. She's tough. She's rugged. And I think this would be a good spot for her to get going. Would I prefer a live crowd? Yeah. I think she feeds off the crowd noise. Being in the apex when it's crickets is going to favor the wrestler who's going to be able to take advice from her corner, maybe stay composed. But at the end of the day, it's a fight, and it's not going to change, right? Sam Hughes thrives in those situations. Make it gritty. I'd love to see how the first round plays out. Maybe it's worth taking a live bet of some type. But really, there's 13 other fights on this card. You don't have to go. Not saying you, Paul. I'm saying the general universe does not have to go too heavy on Piera Rodriguez versus Sam Hughes. But I watched back the first fight twice and came out of it more impressed with Sam Hughes and her prospects for maybe springing a small upset here. And again, she's got 5 wins in the UFC, 6 wins in the UFC, 5 of them as the betting underdog. Let's keep the good times rolling.
I mean, there's a lot of fights on this card that they did really, it's good matchmaking, man. It's like you can make the case for both sides.
Yes.
My final assessment and money is not really, I haven't fired at anything this week, to be perfectly honest, because if somebody's cousin is kidnapped by the G crew or whatever the hell is the name.
Yeah, the Gangster Disciples.
The GDs. I don't want to be invested in the other side, and then I have to buy out. I just want to be able to bet this up. Just follow that crazy steam, because that crazy steam, the unrigged crazy steam, has been like undefeated, right? Like the Del Valle, that Michael Johnson steam. It's crazy that nobody said that the UFC didn't even acknowledge that one. Fishy. Yeah, especially because like Michael Johnson's his previous fight with Alexander Hernandez got pulled off of the card on the first Paramount Plus card because of crazy betting situations, and then that happened in his follow-up fight. Just saying, it's a scary, it's a very, very. I mean, it's because we know what's already happened with the Bulgarian stuff. It's like you can't just be like, "Oh, it's not happening at this." It's happening in college basketball. It's happening in so many different levels. Like there was like a professional baseball pitcher who was like making like $15 million a year, who got caught up in something about like trying to throw like balls on his second pitch and stuff like that. Like,
dude, and Chauncey Billups is in the NBA Hall of Fame, isn't he?
Yeah, he made like $150 million in his career.
Yeah.
So it's like if these organizations can get to those people, I mean, any regional fighter is probably pretty easy to get to. Any UFC fighter outside of like a main event, co-main event, title fights, top 5, top 10, that are going to put you in positions to, to carry out on your dreams and make way more money, have way more exposure. Anything else on these prelims, man, it's like you have to start to think that things are seeming pretty compromised these days. And whether it's the fight, I'm not blaming it all on the fighters. The judges could be absolutely corrupt as well.
Well, that's what I was going to say. I was going to say, it's one thing to be like, oh, the fights themselves are fixed. It's another thing to be like, let's say I did have a crystal ball here, Paul Chauncey, and I told you, I can guarantee you that Long Zhao doubles or triples up Cody Garbrandt and significant strikes every round. He's going to win every round. You'd be like, okay. So he's going to win a 30-27. Can also tell you he's going to lose 2 points from hoofing him in the balls. Garbrandt's going to puke. That one's really going to be bad. It's like, okay, so he's going to win a 28-27. The other way. It's like, none of this makes sense, Paul. None of this makes sense. And I'm not, they should have just DQ'd the guy and Garbrandt should have got the win that way. So I'm not defending woofing a guy once, warning. Second time, he pukes. The third time was like, you knee him. They bring in a translator to be like, dog, what are you doing? And then Cody Garbrandt, who realizes, oh man, this guy just lost 2 points. All I have to do is win 1 round. And he runs away. He runs away like he knows I've already won the second. How do you know you won the second? You got doubled up in significant strikes. Oh,
he actually chased him down like a maniac. His corner was telling him to like calm down and just fight your fight. But like when he was like pacing, but Garbrandt's pacing back and forth, looking like real mad face over at his opponent, and then he ran forward with a flying knee. And then once he did that, he just like had flashbacks to like all of his bad knockout losses, I think, and then fell back into that. I don't know. Crazy
I don't
stuff.
know. He heard the commentators ringside being like, all Cody's got to do is protect the lead because the other guy lost 2 points, and it's impossible
I don't think it was
to lose 2
I think it was his
points.
corner who was telling him to stop.
They were telling him to calm down, calm down. Again, it's just, you lose the first round, you look so flat. The second round you lose, you look so flat. Everyone believes you're down 2 rounds. The third round, it's like, oh, Cody Garbrandt's getting fired up. He's getting fired up after that most recent nut shot. And then it resumes and he throws a flying knee and he sits down in the pocket. And he throws a left hook and then the guy grabs him and knees him in the balls again. And then that just, I don't know, deflated him. Coming out of that one, he knew, I don't want to engage this guy. I'm just going to run away the whole time. The point being is that you can have the right pick and still get the wrong result. Like Long Zhao's the better fighter. Long Zhao, after that fight, it was like, okay, well, Long Zhao's just got to stop hitting guys in the groin. But outside of that, his takedown defense looked pretty good. His volume looked pretty good. His speed looked pretty good. His striking looked pretty good. He didn't look bad. In fact, I give credit to Su Young Yu because that, look, in hindsight, that Zhao Long win's really not that bad. That guy's not terrible. You could be on the right side and just still get the wrong result. The guy does a bad move. The judges scored the second round for Cody Garbrandt, or they scored the third round for Cody Garbrandt, even though he got tripled up. Or you can't really make that definitive a case for any of the rounds. You can make the case the guy deserved to get disqualified, or that the guy is cheating and you don't like him. But I mean, like, what are we doing here? One guy landed more than the other. Long Zhao is going to move on and have a career of sorts. He's going to be a bottom feeder, top 30 guy of the division. Cody Garbrandt won that fight, and I have never been more certain than I was after that fight to know that Cody Garbrandt is absolutely shot to bits, done. His power, remember, he used to have some power, gone, zapped, can't bust a grape. His chin, never great to begin with, doesn't want to get into firefights. His wrestling, former Ohio State champ back in high school, can't even take down a guy from Road to the Contenders. He is absolutely abysmal, shot to bits, and he still won the fight by doing nothing. So it's that kind of game that we're playing, and yeah, you're going to need some good bounces. They're not always going to come your favor. Sometimes you got a guy you mentioned earlier, the Arna Carnelossi versus Pierre Rodriguez. I had Carnelossi. Okay, if we were in Vegas,
I actually won a lot of money off of that.
I know, I feel bad, but I never get the bounces, so I'm gonna take that one.
I had her at the back end of parlays and stuff, and there's like one ticket that was like huge. That just like, I mean, if that win doesn't happen, if it like sometimes, yeah, you get wins that you don't deserve, you lose fights that you don't necessarily deserve too. It's a cruel game.
It's a cruel game that could go back and forth. But
so now you got to hit us a 14 leg parlay, and if you don't hit it, Cody, you absolutely suck. Hit him with the PRP.
Yeah, I do get that all the time. This guy went 11-2 on that card. Wash. I remember when you used to hit the PRP. Well, you know what? Then let's hit a PRP, right, Paul? Kevin Vallejos, Gillian Robertson, Oumar Sy, Jose Delgado, Harry Hardwick, dog number 1. Steve Asplund, dog number 2. Bruno Silva, dog number 3. Brad Tavares, it's even money as far as I'm concerned. He's slight favorite. Chris Curtis, dog number 4. Manuel Sousa, Hector Sosa, Bia Mesquita, Elijah Smith, and Sam Hughes, dog number 5. So 5 underdogs in total. If you want to see who are your more prominent picks, the more comfortable with, and that's what you're going to anchor around your tickets. You don't have to bet parlays. You can bet props. You can bet totals. You can do whatever you feel right. But Paul's not wrong. There's a lot of plus money on this card. If the fight gods, if the universe had it in store for us this week, and you're to hit a few of them, they're going to juice up some parlays big. A 14 fight hit this week. I retire. Do a little private island just off the
we're
coast of Maui.
The show's done. The show's
Yeah.
done for good. If you hit the PRP this week.
Yeah,
'Cause,
well, of course, depends how much you put down. And yeah, I've hit some. I've been fortunate to hit some very big scores in this game, and then you love it, so you come back into it. But last week, I mean, even as I tweet out, it's like 90% of these guys have shit in the apple pie for me before, and I mean it. It's an untrustworthy bunch, and yet people want picks every single week. I know the narrative is Cody does better on the cheap little fight nights than the big pay-per-views, and yeah, maybe that's the case. Well, here's a cheap little fight night. And I hope to do a lot better than I did on that last week's big pay-per-view. But of course, you do need some bounces. I'm going to need, if there's a DQ, got to be in my favor. If there's a point deduction, in my favor. If the judges are going to screw somebody, I need them to screw the guy that's going to favor me. And last but not least, and this is the one that people always overlook. They always overlook this, Paul. This is a real thing you need to take in consideration.
Who, me?
Did the guy that we bet on, did the guy that you bet on happen to have a nephew who got kidnapped by the gangster disciples? Because if you're not factoring that in, you are waiting for a heartbreak, pal. So I actually did have Michael Johnson last week. God damn it. Why does nephew have to get in trouble with them? All jokes aside.
Great sell job. They call like what's in wrestling, it's like a work versus a what's the other term?
Well, a shoot.
A shoot.
Yeah.
That was a shoot. He knew the direction of the event, but he took it like a man. And that's why nobody's ever going to question him outside of me. I mean, nothing I say should be taken seriously, trust me. If Michael's people get after me, I know absolutely nothing.
You know what, though? It's not the craziest thing to think. If Michael Johnson, let's just say he knew he had to lose, and like I'm saying, he was trying to knock out Drew Dober. Well, all I got to
chin
do
out in round 2, and let's just get hit.
And worst case scenario, I drop Drew Dober with that right hand in the first round, and he hits the deck. I just soccer kick him in the face or knee him in the face while he's on the ground and get myself disqualified. But no matter what, make sure you don't get your hand raised. And I honestly do think it's a joke because there was a big line move in the Sumaderji fight as well. Big line move, moved a whole $1 like in the 20 minutes leading up to it. And then he proceeded to win all 3 rounds and win the fight. So even when Dave Mason tweeted it out, he's like, look, this guy put $40,000 on Drew Dober and then moved the line 10 points, put another $40,000 on Drew Dober, and then the line moves 15 points, and then he puts 20 grand or something on Drew Dober. That you can liken it to one guy has put about $100,000 on Drew Dober. Now the line's moving. People got FOMO. They're going to hit the Drew Dober line. People online are talking about it. They're going to hit the Drew Dober line. People that bet Michael Johnson, they're pulling the plug. So now they're hedging by betting that Drew Dober line. That all of a sudden that starts to become a snowball effect where it's moving in that direction. Does it mean it anything? No. Now, my point being is that one guy with $100,000 can start to create the snowball effect. If this was an NFL game, $100,000 is not moving it. $1 million is not moving it. It's pool totals. So UFC is a small niche sport. There's not that many people betting on it. And the people that are betting on it aren't betting on some random prelim fight for the most part. You know, it's $1,000 bet. It's a $500 bet. It's a $5 bet. Whereas big sports, the NBA games or football games, it's like you could drop a couple $100,000 on it and it ain't going to move the line at all, right? Because they're big pools that have millions in total as opposed to hundreds of thousands. So don't be the guy that every week just points out the line movement and this fight's fixed and that fight fixed and this one's going. It doesn't mean as much as you think. It's just there's not a whole lot of people betting it. So if someone drops a moderate size or a big bet, it is going to move the price for sure.
I mean, like Bruno Ferreira took a whole bunch of action and got his ass knocked out in the first round.
And that's when we talk about the sport is unpredictable. Yeah, dude. Literally, he got one punch. The guy moved left and threw the punch right and it knocked him out.
Move was actually pretty much wild. The same as like the maybe not the same, but like pretty significant because like
moved $1. That's huge.
Yeah. Well, to minus 150 within 5 days. Yeah, he went from like minus 260 to minus 160. I mean, it's when a pick'em goes from 50-50 to like 65-75% that people start asking questions, I suppose. But yeah, I mean, most people don't actually know the ins and outs of what the odds even mean. They just see that the result happened after the fact, and they're convinced. But I don't know. I think Michael Johnson deserves. When's the Academy Awards coming up? Did that already pass? Because he's got my vote for Best Supporting Actor.
Really? Yeah, they shouldn't have sent Brian Ortega to the Academy Awards this year. They should have sent Michael Johnson.
Yeah, 100%. Great work, Michael. Because that was hell of a knockout loss. Like, you took it like a man. And if you're ever gonna rig a fight, that's how you do it. Take it right on the chin. Go out cold. Nobody can question you afterwards because you're concussed. I don't know.
Yeah, what do you know about it?
Were you compromised? It's just like, I don't know. Like, all these lights, it's very, very shiny. Easy. Nobody's asking you questions afterwards because they're like, did you see what happened to that guy? You wouldn't be able to believe anything that he said anyways. Genius. That's how you do it. That's how you do it, allegedly.
Could be onto something. Anyway,
that's it for us this week. May all of the GD endorsed fights be yours this week. But that's it for us. Hope you enjoyed the show. For Cody, I'm Paul saying goodbye and good luck.